From a high rooftop, Kong Taesan looks down at the scene unfolding beneath him, a slight annoyance in his expression as he thinks. This is annoying anyway, he thinks, observing a large, horned monster with glowing red eyes causing destruction on the street below, surrounded by dark energy. Ah, so annoying, he says again, clearly bothered by the creature's presence. He lets out a frustrated sound, his patience growing thin. He wonders aloud, why is that thing making things so annoying by floating all the way here? The monster below lets out a loud roar, its red eyes glowing, and Kong Taesan reacts with a sharp ah, his face becoming serious. Meanwhile, on the street, Jungian and Lee Changchun see the monster. Jungian says, found him. He's already over here. After coming down from the rooftop, Kong Taesan now stands in front of the large monster, a slight smile on his face as he says, well, isn't this a spectacle? As he gets ready to fight, his internal system shows important messages. Monster 435 IS glaring at you. Monster 221 IS glaring at you. And Monster 222 IS glaring at you, indicating that multiple creatures are focused on him. Despite the many enemies, Kong Taesan's violet eyes show strong determination, ready for the fight ahead. A large, horned monster lets out a roar, its body surrounded by a red energy, its eyes glowing with a fierce light. From the ground, many red energy spikes shoot up, heading towards the person standing far away, a direct attack meant to hit him. But he moves very fast, a quick blur as he easily avoids the attacks coming his way, his body turning in the air. As he gets ready to fight back, a bright blue energy sparks around his arm, making the air around him buzz with his strength. His determination grows stronger, as his system confirms that he has activated his abilities. Accelerated reflexes and multiplication are now active. With a sudden burst of speed, he turns into a blur of blue energy, moving too quickly to be seen clearly. The monster's constant red attacks keep coming, but he moves through them with amazing ease, each close call showing how fast his reactions have become. Then, with a clear movement, he faces an incoming red blast directly, his blue energy shining brightly to push away the attack with a strong hit. High above the city, the sky goes on forever, a calm view behind the fighting happening below. Then, with a controlled drop, he falls quickly towards the ground, like a human missile heading for the center of the fight. A fist strikes a surface with force, causing cracks to spread from the impact point. The person behind the fist calls out, insisting the door be opened as they continue to strike it. Elsewhere, Jungian sits on a high ledge, looking up at Lee Changchun, who stands nearby. A relieved expression crosses Lee Changchun's face as he greets his senior, while Jungian asks, man, that's nuts. What did you say you were going to have to fight, Hyung? As they begin to walk, Lee Changchun brings up a recent event, asking if Jungian knew about a hard mode player who had recently exited the labyrinth, noting their perceived strength. Jungian then delivers the grim news, stating that the player was found dead, dismembered by monsters. This revelation leaves Lee Changchun stunned, questioning how such a strong player could have been so weak. Jungian, visibly nervous, tries to reassure his senior, asking him to listen. A monstrous creature, with glowing red eyes and sharp claws, serves as a visual reminder of the danger, emphasizing that a hard mode player had been killed by such monsters just the previous week. With a worried expression, Jungian explains that if there were only 3 of them, they wouldn't need to handle it quickly, then asks what is truly wrong with the 3 individuals they are discussing. Lee Changchun calmly replies that he dealt with them all, a response that Jungian seems to understand. Jungian, feeling hungry, suggests they go to the cafeteria, but also insists that Lee Changchun tell him the honest truth about the situation. The narration reiterates the danger, reminding them that just last week, a hard mode player was killed by monsters, a fact that Lee Changchun seems to take in stride. Lee Changchun, with a calm demeanor, states that many people have gone through the labyrinth with him, and they can confirm his account. Lee Changchun notes the increasing number of players entering the labyrinth, expressing concern that even experienced individuals can perish there, as Jungian quietly questions the identity of a passing figure. He reflects on the situation, questioning how an easy mode player could be defeated here, but then concedes that even regular players frequently die in the labyrinth, emphasizing the term hard mode. Elsewhere, Jungian expresses his frustration, finding it challenging to enhance his abilities and feeling less capable than his companion. He voices his uncertainty about succeeding, yet Lee Changchun encourages him to continue, stating they are nearing their goal. Separately, Kong Taesan exerts considerable force against a large, decorative door, attempting to push it open. After a final push, a bright light emerges from the opening, illuminating the space beyond the door. Returning to the two, they walk past a tent-marked cafeteria, a common sight in such environments. Lee Changchun reminds Jungian about their limited food options, mentioning that they must eat even simple items like potatoes or carrots. Jungian then changes the subject, mentioning that he heard the labyrinth is a source of powerful abilities. He asks Lee Changchun if he indeed learned supernatural skills there, as he heard S-rank players always learn something new, which Lee Changchun confirms. However, Lee Changchun's demeanor changes, and he states that Jungian will not improve further, which confuses the younger man. With a serious look, Lee Changchun announces that they have reached the end of the labyrinth, implying a significant conclusion. The mysterious door opens, revealing a group of armed figures blocking the path. Kang Tae-san, undeterred, states his intention to acquire a skill this time, even if it means overcoming obstacles. His expression firm, he quietly expresses his annoyance at the easy mode players who are obstructing him. Elsewhere, guards break through a wall, reporting to their captain that the intruder has been found. A guard with a stern expression responds, asking if this is the intruder they were told about. As the situation grows tense, Jung-gyeon, observing from behind, asks if fighting is necessary, but Kang Tae-san dismisses the guards as unimportant. The lead guard, angered by the comment, attacks, but Kang Tae-san moves quickly, disarming him and sending his weapon flying. After dealing with the guard, Kang Tae-san turns to his companion, telling him to have fun with the others. Jung-gyeon, however, is not pleased, complaining that he is not a fighter and asking why he always faces these problems. Ignoring the protests, Kang Tae-san's expression hardens, telling his companion to stop lying and act. With a burst of power, his violet eyes glowing, Kang Tae-san releases a powerful purple energy attack, throwing the remaining guards backward, showing his great strength. As the dust clears, he thinks about the ongoing struggle and how hard it is to accept that some events just happen often without a clear reason. His expression becomes serious, and he states that if only one method remains, he will find it. A battle request appears on a nearby screen, drawing the attention of a young man who stands before Kang Tae-san. The young man, Chun, speaks with a hint of challenge. This place is a mess, but if you're responsible, then you're the one I need to face. Kang Tae-san turns away, seemingly uninterested, as Chun persists. Don't you recognize me? I am Chun. With a brief, irritated look over his shoulder, he states plainly, your identity is irrelevant. Move aside. Chun's face tightens, a warning in his tone. You will regret those words. Without another word, Kang Tae-san launches himself forward, his movements so swift they appear as a mere streak. He quickly reaches the first guard, delivering a strong, glowing blow that forces the opponent back. A second guard is propelled through the air by a powerful kick, their bodies spinning from the impact. His foot strikes a third opponent with immense force, the impact causing a visible burst of energy. He then releases a powerful, fiery energy blast, which engulfs several guards in an explosive wave. His eyes glow with a bright violet light, showing the power of his attack, and his face remains calm despite the surrounding destruction. The energy from his attack slowly fades, leaving behind a visible sign of his immense power. A system message appears, confirming that Kang Tae-san's first strike nullification ability has activated, resulting in 0 damage taken. This revelation causes Chun to react with disbelief, as his attack has been completely nullified. Kang Tae-san's hand appears, and he calmly asks, you done? He stands ready with his sword, his expression determined. Chun is still in shock, unable to understand how his SSS ranked attack was nullified. Kang Tae-san then asks, is it my turn now? And begins to move towards his opponent with his sword. The strike lands, and Chun cries out, I'm hit, as he is forced backward. Despite Chun activating his defense ability, boosting it by 400%, Kang Tae-san's ability activates, allowing his glowing blue sword to ignore the opponent's defense by 400%. The force of the blow sends him flying backward, leaving him stunned. Kang Tae-san looks down at his defeated opponent, asking, your level is over 10,000, right? Without waiting for an answer, his hand begins to glow with blue energy. The blue energy intensifies, surrounding him in a powerful aura, as multiplication, acceleration, and his defense-ignoring abilities are all activated. With his abilities activated, Kang Tae-san gestures forward, indicating it is time to move. And Liion confirms her understanding, while Jung-gyeon and Chun can only stare in surprise. Suddenly, a surge of pink and purple energy erupts from him, surrounding his target, before exploding outwards in a powerful blast. The impact is powerful, tearing through Chun's defenses with great force, leaving him screaming as the system registers thousands of points of damage. Standing over the defeated opponent, Kang Tae-san's voice is cold, questioning if his opponent truly understands. His gaze sharp and unwavering, showing his dominance. Chun, utterly defeated, can only weakly protest from the ground, begging him to stop. Nearby, Jung-gyeon watches the scene, tears streaming down his face as he realizes the man before him is no longer the Hyung he once knew. In stark contrast to this brutal reality, the world once knew a time of serene beauty, before monstrous entities suddenly appeared, their roars echoing across the land. These terrifying invaders, known only as dragons, brought an era of devastation. He gazes at the glowing interface, his face showing a deep concern, as a difficult decision weighs heavily on him. The system presents options, easy, normal, hard, or solo mode. But the stark reality is that no one has ever completed this dungeon, and the world is in great danger. This tall labyrinth, a place of confinement, states that one can only go back to Earth after clearing it, a harsh reminder of the difficult challenge ahead. Because back on Earth, particularly in the east of Asia, the land has become a barren place, completely taken over by large monsters, with a continuous fight for survival happening in the destroyed cities. With a determined look, he understands there is only one way forward. What else can he do but try to save this damaged world? A younger hunter, Chun, addresses his leader, acknowledging the impressive feat he'd just witnessed, stating, "Good work." Another teammate, Jungian, approaches, expressing mild surprise as he asks, "You came?" The leader confirms his presence, stating, "Of course I did. I had to see this myself," before adding, "Yeah. Chun, still impressed by the demonstration of power, continues to commend him. "Seriously, though, you're incredible," noting that he defeated a hard-rank monster with one strike. The group of hunters stands in the aftermath of the battle, their figures visible among the dust and debris, indicating the recent conflict. Chun expresses a slight frustration, muttering, "What's the point of me weakening it like that?" He then jokingly suggests his leader is showing off, saying, "He's got here. You're just showing off, Hyung." As the two move away from the battle zone, the leader pauses to adjust his equipment, appearing contemplative. Jungian, still considering the powerful display, reflects on the leader's abilities, thinking about the ultimate judgment skill, which depends on willpower and mana, and the large light explosion that occurred upon impact. Kong Tae-san, the leader, offers a simple smile, attributing his strength to through hard work. Jungian exclaims, "Wha," then sincerely thanks his leader for his efforts, though he comments, "Didn't look like it," suggesting the apparent effortlessness of the victory. The group assembles around a collection of shimmering, blue crystals, their light casting a glow on the hunters' faces as they examine their findings. Among the group, a familiar figure appears, leading to the observation. Looks like Liion came back. A towering, dark structure rises through swirling clouds, its silhouette casting a long shadow over the desolate landscape. Meanwhile, a familiar figure appears, her violet eyes holding a quiet resolve, a subtle smile gracing her lips. Her practical, armored attire, suitable for a hunter, highlights her lean build, suggesting she is prepared for any challenge. Elsewhere, in a grand hall, Kong Tae-san stands before the skeletal remains of a large creature, a quiet sigh escaping him as he observes the ancient display, a soft thump accompanying his contemplation. He turns and walks away, his thoughts on the strange priorities of the world. Even as humanity faces extinction, he finds himself worrying about decorations. His gaze then settles on a painting, a hint of frustration in his voice as he remarks, "Even while humanity is becoming extinct, this stuff still continues to bug me." Unseen by him, a figure approaches from behind, her steps quiet, as the thought lingers. Even as monsters litter the outside, there are still moments of reflection. His hand reaches out, touching the dinosaur skeleton, a memory surfacing as he thinks, "When my parents were alive, they used to brag about this." He looks back at the painting, lost in his own thoughts and memories, unaware that Liion is now standing just behind him. Suddenly, he turns, his eyes widening in surprise as he recognizes her. "Liion?" She stands before him, her calm gaze fixed on his face, causing him to question the reality of the situation. His mind flashes back to a memory, a time when he had asked his companions, "Why don't you just try to live like a normal person?" Liion, however, simply offers a knowing smile, her response echoing in his thoughts, "An easy mode? That's not how a hard mode player like me lives. It's weird." Her current status, displayed before him, reveals a formidable power level, her abilities far surpassing what he might have expected. He can only stare, a single question escaping his lips. "What are you dragging?" She simply replies, "I'm just checking your stats, since you already know." His own status window appears, revealing his current condition, and she adds, "Are you still in weak condition?" A scoff escapes her, her expression conveying a mix of amusement and disbelief. Kong Tae-san, however, remains unfazed, retorting, "I'm just checking if you already know. Still, these stats are pretty good for a hard mode player." His hand clenches, the memory of his past companions and their shared journey flashing through his mind, under a vast, starry sky. He recalls a time when he and his friends, Jungian and Chun, stood together, gazing up at the heavens, their aspirations as boundless as the cosmos itself. Liion, meanwhile, radiates a powerful, ethereal blue aura, her true strength now undeniably apparent, a force that has only just begun to reveal itself. A memory shows a younger Kong Tae-san standing next to Chun, both looking upwards. Despite their resolve, none of them could withstand a single attack from the dark entity. In the present, Tion's violet eyes glowed, and a purple aura gathered around her hand as she told him, "Step aside, Hyung. Let your attack become my attack." Her body became enveloped in a vibrant purple glow, the energy crackling as she stated her next attack was guaranteed to connect. The swirling purple energy around her intensified, a clear sign that this attack was indeed guaranteed to hit. However, before her power could fully manifest, Kong Tae-san moved, a red skill effect appearing as he countered her with a quick, downward kick, demonstrating that skills could be overcome, regardless of their stated difficulty. He entered the center of the conflict, his eyes glowing electric blue as red and purple energies clashed around him, creating a chaotic display of power. His expression remained calm as he pondered, "And no matter if my skills are weak, or what does that matter?" With a final burst of power, his blue shield skill activated, creating a shimmering barrier that completely nullified her attack. breaking the incoming energy into many pieces. Liion, seemingly unaffected by the nullification, offered a small smile and said, "Just wanted to. It's nothing." Kang Tae-san, now calm, listed a stack of his skills, including nullification, overload, regeneration, and more, then confirmed. "You have so many skills, right?" "Around 300, yeah." A question hangs in the air, seemingly from the vastness of space. "You said that the skills you obtained while playing normally through the tower were what?" Liion, standing amidst a cosmic backdrop, states that they need to become stronger. As her words echo, Kang Tae-san, standing with Chun, questions the idea of a labyrinth being too powerful, simply asking, "Who knows?" Liion, her legs shown in motion, then suggests they might need to earn their gold within the tower, a remark that elicits a slight smirk from Tae-san. He recalls a past instance where he was unable to protect his family, a memory that strengthens his determination. Now, accompanied by Liion and Jungian, he walks towards the glowing, imposing structure of the tower, while Jungian inquires, "Why don't we know about that?" Tae-san considers the tower's hard mode, a challenge he understands is exceptionally difficult, a place where even the most capable face struggles. Liion, with a confident gesture, confirms that she has been to the tower previously, her experience differing from Jungian's lack of knowledge. The next floor awaits, presenting a new challenge. Tae-san looks at the enormous, glowing purple structure of the tower, its great power emanating from within. A sudden thought strikes him, a memory of the hard mode and the second wave of attacks, a serious reminder of the challenges to come. The city streets are devastated, evidence of the harsh, hard mode, and the continuous third wave that came afterward. Lying defeated among the ruins, he remembers the difficult fight to protect even a small city during that third wave, a struggle that tested his endurance. The ruined city lies under a somber sky, as a voice announces the imminent arrival of the fourth wave. Amidst the tension, Kang Tae-san asks about their injuries, and Liion responds by stating she is an apostle. He considers their situation, noting that with 2 S ranks, 1 A rank, and Liion, they still lack the hard mode experience to face an S rank monster. Liion suggests a different approach, emphasizing the need for all available help, especially with an apostle present. She advises him to fight the S rank monster by himself. He maintains his resolve, stating he must fight the apostle and that his companions should handle the S rank monster, believing they are capable. Liion asks if he intends to go alone, then assures him that his companions are stronger than he believes and can handle the S rank monster. He firmly disagrees with her assessment, his expression resolute. A soft sound accompanies Liion as she turns, her long hair moving gently. She stands with her back to the others, a quiet presence. Her eye glows with a vibrant violet light, revealing a surge of power. With purple energy emanating from her hand, she admits, with a hint of self-doubt, that she is a coward. The sky above them is filled with swirling blues and purples, reflecting the magical energy. A heavy sigh escapes Kang Tae-san, as the gravity of the situation settles upon him. While the others recoil in shock and fear from Liion's earlier revelation, their cries echoing through the tense silence. Still, the protagonist stands firm, looking down at the apostle, who simply states her acceptance of their dire circumstances, believing they are already facing an impossible battle. But the determined hunter offers a chilling retort, telling her to consider it a blessing, because his job is to ensure her demise. The apostle, however, scoffs at his words, reminding him that he knows nothing of their true predicament. She then reveals the monster they are about to face is an S-rank beast, a creature that only appears in the fourth wave of hard mode, a fact that echoes in the protagonist's mind as he processes the terrifying information. Despite her glowing violet eye and the power she wields, the apostle's true feelings betray her outward confidence, as she privately admits to being a coward, terrified of dying here. The scene then shifts, revealing a sprawling, desolate city bathed in an ominous purple glow, crisscrossed by jagged bolts of energy. From a different angle, the city appears vast and imposing, its structures reaching towards a sky filled with ethereal blue light. The apostle's voice cuts through the visual, confirming this is the very city that awaits them in the fourth wave of hard mode, a place of ruin and immense power. The desolate urban landscape stretches on, its broken buildings hinting at the battles yet to come. And then, the true horror is revealed, a massive, reptilian S-rank monster, its scales glowing with malevolent energy, ready to unleash chaos upon the city. The S-rank beast, a large reptilian monster, stands over the ruined city, signaling the start of the fourth wave. Despite the danger, Liion looks up at Kang Tae-san, asking. He kneels before her, his expression calm. Without speaking further, Kang Tae-san jumps into the air, a purple light surrounding him as his large leap ability begins. He lands like a heavy object, hitting the ground with a strong impact that sends a wave of purple energy out. His speed is hard to follow. After fully activating his ability, he stops in the air, looking over the empty city. His violet eyes glow with a bright purple light, and a special screen appears in front of him. The screen quickly shows many targets, red dots appearing across the damaged city. He acts fast, sending out strong purple energy to destroy the shadowy monsters that come out of the ruins. Standing among the fading shapes of his enemies, a clear statement is heard. His glowing eyes become narrow, and a deep question forms in his mind as he checks his current condition. He undergoes a quick system check, which confirms his survival against immediate fatal conditions, as purple energy begins to surround him. His mental state is confirmed to be stable, and he kneels surrounded by intense purple lightning, his eyes glowing with power. The power continues to build, transforming his body into an invincible shield, as purple energy swirls around him. His eyes, now glowing intensely, narrow into a determined expression as he states, "Die, fuckers." Kong Taesan's violet eyes show a determined expression as he prepares for the challenges that lie ahead. Without hesitation, he plunges into the abyss, a dark, jagged chasm opening beneath him, pulling him into its depths. Deep within the darkness, a monstrous entity stirs, its strange, tentacled form slowly becoming visible. As he descends, a voice echoes in his mind, cautioning him against acting carelessly, while his system confirms that complete surveillance has been activated. The monster's large tentacles thrash with great force, creating loud sounds as it prepares to attack. Taesan moves quickly towards the creature, a fast blur against the dark background, rapidly getting closer. Its wide mouth, filled with sharp teeth and moving tentacles, appears threatening, ready to consume anything that comes near. With a sudden burst of energy, Taesan places a glowing orb onto the ground, the impact creating bright pink and purple light, a strong first attack against the large monster. The monster cries out and pulls back, its red eye glowing as Taesan calmly checks its very high health, understanding that the fight will be long. Undeterred, he activates Body Time Accelerator, his body surrounded by a purple glow as he gets ready for very fast attacks. With purple energy glowing around his hand, he challenges the beast, asking with a dangerous tone, "Then, what about this one?" The monster's status window appears, showing its health points at 1.2 million, indicating a powerful foe. Looking at the high number, he estimates the monster's health to be around 1.2 million. Realizing the urgency, he tells himself he needs to hurry. With a burst of green energy, he moves incredibly fast, leaving trails behind him. His first attack, a series of green energy strikes, hits the large monster, causing bright magical effects. However, despite his efforts, the damage he inflicts is very small compared to the monster's total health. When the monster's tentacles strike, making him dodge, he tells himself he needs to hurry more. Focusing his power, a bright green energy glows and sparks around his hand, ready for a strong attack. He releases the focused energy, a powerful green blast hitting the monster and creating a large explosion. The power flows from him, a green glow surrounding him as he uses his full strength. He watches the monster's movements, realizing that its ability to move freely and delay attacks is now gone. This understanding strengthens his determination, meaning there is only one way left to defeat the monster. Taesan begins his attack, his body enveloped in a green aura as he prepares to strike. The air around him hums with power, and a notification confirms his skill has been activated. His attack connects with the monster, causing purple energy to ripple through its many tentacles. However, the creature is not easily overcome, its eyes glowing as it states its intention to end the fight quickly. Undaunted, Taesan prepares a follow-up attack, activating a second skill that boosts his attack power. The focused energy hits its mark, creating a powerful impact against the monster. Green lightning flashes across the creature's body, showing the strain on its defenses from the continuous attack. The monster, however, does not give up, its tentacles spreading as it activates a second defensive ability, requiring its full willpower. Despite its new defense, the creature is still pushed back, its large body recoiling from Taesan's powerful attacks. Another focused energy blast hits its center, resulting in a strong discharge of purple light and further weakening its structure. The monster's tentacles flail about, a sign of its desperate fight against the constant pressure. Watching the creature's actions, Taesan calmly realizes that it is protecting itself, a new insight appearing in his eyes. The monster activates a defensive skill, making it immune to damage for 1 minute, but this does not deter Kong Taesan. With a focused expression, he observes the monster, a plan forming in his mind. He activates his psychic missile skill, sending a yellow energy projectile from his hand towards the monster. The missile strikes the monster, creating a large yellow energy field, but the monster shows no sign of damage, surrounded by green particles. The monster's defense, marked by green circular patterns, deflects the energy, confirming its immunity. Only a specific type of monster, such as Monster 7, is capable of damaging it during this defensive phase. Kong Taesan remains calm, his mind already working on a new approach. He considers that if Liion were here, this challenge would be much easier. Her powerful gear and stats enable her to handle solo missions, but he activates his own addition skill, doubling his attack power. Next, he activates multiplication, which increases his attack to 10 squared, with pink and purple energy flowing around his arm. With intense focus, he activates absolute judgment, a skill that reduces the opponent's defense by 100% while still thinking of Tion's defensive abilities. He imagines her easily handling low-rank attackers and then soloing all the defensive monsters. He launches an attack, a surge of blue and purple energy, but he understands that a direct assault will not be enough. If he cannot overcome the monster's defenses or defeat it with overwhelming force, his plan will fail, and he acknowledges that his current approach is insufficient. With a blue glow from his hand, he activates the reset skill, making multiplication available again, and then activates multiplication, causing his next attack to hit twice. His eyes glow purple as multiplication activates, doubling his attack power. With his power now increased, he moves to attack, intending to reduce the monster's health with a concentrated energy blast. A purple aura surrounds him as he thinks, considering the combined effects of addition and multiplication, and the power of absolute judgment. His hand glows with purple energy as he activates copy, making his next attack hit 2 times. With his skills ready, he focuses a powerful surge of purple energy into his leg, preparing for a final attack. The impact creates a large explosion of purple energy as his attack hits Monster 7, causing 92,238,816 damage. The air settles as the system confirms Monster 7 has been defeated. Standing among the other hunters, who observe the result of his victory, he looks over the area, the quiet reflecting his great power. However, victory has a cost, and a green glow appears on his hand, as the system shows he has taken 22,543 damage to himself, a result of using his powerful skills. As the monstrous entity looms, Kong Tae-san activates a crucial defensive skill, Ensure, which nullifies fatal attacks and significantly reduces all damage for 1 second, a green aura briefly surrounding him. Without hesitation, he moves forward, his sword glowing with green energy, preparing to strike. With a sharp sound, his attack lands, creating an impact. Purple energy flares from him, confirming a hit and dealing 40 damage to the monster. Looking at the creature, he resolves that this will be a straightforward fight, and he will defeat it. However, as he confronts the beast, his status shows his MP is very low, with only 21 points left. Sweat forms on his forehead, and he realizes with concern he has no more skills to use, his MP is gone, and he feels like he might lose his composure. For a brief moment, a clear memory crosses his mind, showing a past challenge, reminding him of his purpose. Despite his tiredness and dwindling hope, he perseveres, his body glowing with a purple light as he keeps attacking the monster. With every muscle protesting, he pushes himself, his face showing the strain of his effort, unwilling to give up. But the monster strikes back with great force, causing him to cry out in pain as his health decreases again. With a final, desperate surge of power, a glowing purple blade plunges deep into the unseen foe. Even as a chilling system alert flashes, warning of extreme exhaustion and a mind pushed to its absolute limits, a dangerous overload threatening to shatter his mental, spiritual, and physical strength, risking a complete loss of control. The very ground beneath him cracks and groans under the strain of the battle's aftermath, yet the relentless system continues its assault, now informing him that his vital skill, Ensure, has been sealed due to his body exceeding its limits. With a frustrated snarl, he dismisses the intrusive message, his focus unwavering as the monstrous, serpentine creature writhes in its death throes, its glowing eyes dimming. The beast lets out a guttural, desperate cry of kill. But it's too late. The hunter stands triumphant, his blade having delivered the final, crushing blow. Kong Tae-san surveys the fallen behemoth, a wave of profound exhaustion washing over him, making him question how long he'd truly been fighting. With a decisive crunch, he plants his foot firmly on the monster's head, a silent declaration of victory before he turns to assess his surroundings. The desolate landscape stretches out before him, and he mutters to himself, "Let's wrap this up," eager to conclude the arduous dungeon run. But before he can make his exit, a sudden, insistent ringing pierces the silence, a glowing blue interface materializing before him, demanding his attention. He glances up, a flicker of surprise crossing his face, as a massive, ethereal blue portal or energy field begins to form directly above him, prompting a single, wry thought: suckers. The final monster collapses, its blood pooling on the dungeon floor, as the hunter stands amidst the defeated creatures. His sword still dripping, he walks through the defeated monsters, his presence a testament to the battle's end. Another monster lies defeated, its body still and lifeless on the ground. A system message confirms the dungeon is cleared, but then another appears, stating, "Dungeon break. Only one left in the world." Before he can react to the message, 3 figures approach him: Liion, Jiam Jungian, and Chun, expressing their relief at finding him. He looks at them, his expression questioning, asking how they managed to get here. A new system alert appears, a gate notification indicating a new entry point. His eyes reflect the blue light as he considers the meaning of the new messages. The others look on, confused, their faces showing concern. A slight smile forms on his face as he seems to understand what is happening. Before them, a large, glowing blue portal opens, its energy pulsating with an unknown power. Liion looks at the portal, her expression a mix of awe and worry, and whispers, "And it's a gate." Elsewhere, a shadowy figure appears, identified as the last survivor of a devastated world, his eyes glowing red. This desolate landscape is his world, a place of complete ruin. Amidst the ruins, the shadowy figure stands, emanating a dark energy. He then attacks, releasing red energy to strike an amorphous creature. This apostle, as he calls it, is easily defeated by the energy from his hand. The figure, Join, then states that anyone under his gaze will soon die. The scene changes, and Kang Tae-san awakens, a system message indicating successfully reserved as a voice tells him to wake up, Hunter. Meanwhile, Join's trap activates, causing the amorphous creature to struggle as he announces the trap's activation. Back with the Hunter, a system notification appears, displaying fatal damage as he shows a pained expression. Despite the severe injury, his eyes glow violet, and Kang Tae-san shouts a defiant challenge to his unseen enemy. His eyes glow with a purple light, a look of fierce determination on his face as the fight continues. The ground beneath him shakes, and the ruined city shows the great power being used, with broken buildings reaching into the sky, reflecting the chaos of the fight. From the shadows, a cloaked figure appears, surrounded by a dark red glow, their bright red eyes focused on their target, a clear threat in their words. Kang Tae-san faces the attack directly, with red energy moving around him, his quick movements showing his struggle to block the constant blows. But the enemy's power is too strong, leaving a deep cut on his hand, but even with the bleeding, he stays determined, speaking words of defiance. The system steps in, a message appearing. Your HP was reached 0. Fortitude is activated. You will be forcibly kept alive for 1 minute. He falls to one knee, hurt and tired, feeling the heavy burden of the fight, but he still won't give up. The cloaked enemy stands over him, a proud, evil presence glowing with red energy, while Kang Tae-san lies beaten, his body hurt, but with a small spark of resistance in his eyes. With a last, desperate effort, his hand reaches out, blood marking the ground below him, a quiet request for power, a refusal to give up, even when completely defeated. Then, a burst of strong power appears, his hand shining with a bright blue light, a sword of pure energy forming in his hand, sparking with bright blue lightning. He stands up, changed, his whole body surrounded by a strong blue glow and sparking lightning, a new, powerful ability awakened inside him, ready to change the course of the fight. Despite the system's declaration that he is at 0 health, a fierce determination ignites within him, even after sustaining damage that would defeat an ordinary monster. His face, streaked with blood, twists into a defiant expression as he challenges his opponent, unwilling to surrender. His violet eyes glow with an intense light, and he declares his intent to kill, as a wave of blue energy bursts forth from his body. The cloaked figure looks down in complete disbelief, unable to understand how his adversary could still be alive after enduring so much damage. As a hand, now radiating an ethereal blue light, clenches the broken ground, the antagonist wonders if this individual is truly human. A cold sweat forms on his forehead, as the understanding dawns that such an act should be impossible. The bloodied hand, now sparking with raw, untamed blue lightning, clenches tighter, a clear sign of the immense power flowing through him. Then, he stands, enveloped in a storm of blue lightning, a newly formed energy sword glowing brightly in his hand, prepared to attack. With a determined expression, he accepts his situation, stating that this battle is his responsibility to conclude, regardless of the consequences. The antagonist, now disheartened, expresses regret over the pointlessness of fighting, convinced that this marks the end of humanity. His hand, now completely surrounded by the brilliant blue energy, firmly holds the hilt of his new weapon, a symbol of his resistance. Poised and radiating immense power, he stands prepared, a transformed warrior confronting a defeated enemy. Already at his limit, he endures the monster's relentless attack, its tentacles tearing at his body. A system message confirms the activation of his last chance ability, deducting a skill point, as the creature growls menacingly. With a violent impact, he is thrown backward, blood splattering from his injuries, but his determination holds firm. The grotesque creature growls again, its mouth filled with sharp teeth, as the system's period of grace begins to expire. Still recovering from the attack, another urgent system notification confirms his last chance ability is active, with 1 skill point already deducted. Then, a defiant cry escapes him, a desperate stop, as he activates a simple yet powerful skill. Fortitude temporarily surges through his being, prompting a check of his new status. Suddenly, the focus shifts to a glowing purple artifact, the Glasshorn Bezel, which is revealed to be the item containing the power to control a gate. Confused by the rapid system notifications and the sudden shift in power, he mutters, questioning what just occurred and why the system mentioned Liion. His gaze returns to the monstrous threat, a renewed determination visible in his expression. A furious snarl twists his features as he challenges the creature, asking if it is mocking him. Then, with a blinding flash and a resounding impact, he erupts in a maelstrom of purple energy, glowing gears swirling around him as his power expands. The sheer force of his awakening ripples through the air, a torrent of raw power manifesting around him. As the energy coalesces, Kang Tae-san finds himself utterly overwhelmed by this unexpected, surging power. Floating in a shimmering, ethereal void, Kang Tae-san reflects on his recent actions, a single thought echoing through the glowing expanse. Just what were you thinking? He chastises himself, the glowing energy beneath his feet a stark reminder of his choice. When I used the skill, I didn't mean to rely on it this way, but I believed I had more than enough skill points, so I thought I could afford it. His gaze drops, a pang of regret hitting him as he remembers his original intention. I had intended to save the last chance skill for my sister. Clad in a dark, flowing cloak, he looks up at a cosmic expanse, the weight of his isolation pressing down on him. But since I'm the only one left, I knew my skill points would fall to 0. The ethereal sky swirls with cosmic energy, a silent promise hanging in the air. So this time. Suddenly, a dull thud and a sharp click break the silence, and he finds himself lying on a bed, the ethereal realm replaced by a mundane room. His eyes widen in confusion, a mix of disorientation and surprise etched across his face, as he tries to make sense of his new surroundings. He sits up, taking in the cluttered, familiar yet somehow alien room. This is, he murmurs, his voice laced with uncertainty. Still disoriented, he reaches for his phone, hoping for some clarity. The screen illuminates, revealing the time and a date that sends a jolt through him. 11:02 p.m. on December 31st, 2019. As he steps out onto a balcony overlooking the bustling city, the new year dawns, confirming the impossible. It is now January 1st, 2020. As the new year begins, a chilling prophecy hangs over the city, suggesting that at this very moment, the world as they know it will begin to fall. Meanwhile, far from any immediate danger, he finds himself in a moment of unexpected calm, eating pizza and remarking, "How long has it been since I last had pizza? This is the taste of luxury." A thoughtful look appears on his face as he considers his strange situation. I'm not sure if I'm dreaming or if I'm dead. He looks at the empty box, a deep sense of disbelief coming over him. Who knew I'd be able to eat pizza again? His eyes fall, lost in thoughts of a harsh past. A life he can only call the life I've lived through the past few years was hell. Now, looking out at the busy city streets, a clear difference from his recent hardships, he accepts his new reality. Now, I'm back in the world I used to know. He checks his phone, the screen showing the last moments of the year, counting down to a new start. It's almost time. The digital clock shows the exact time, 11:58 p.m. on December 31st, 2019. Around the world, fireworks light up the sky as everyone waits for midnight, counting down to the new year. From his window, he watches the distant celebrations, a quiet observer as the world changes, welcoming the year 2020. Later, sitting comfortably on a couch with a woman and a child, he watches television, a scene of peaceful home life that hides his difficult past. Unfortunately, as the new year begins, the world is suddenly destroyed by emerging monsters. As loud noises echo through the city, Kang Tae-san asks if others heard it, while a woman beside him wonders what is happening, and another man questions the situation. With the sky glowing ominously, Kang Tae-san and the woman stare in horror, wondering what the strange phenomenon could be. From the glowing rift, monstrous figures emerge, surrounded by red lightning, as people scatter in fear. The scene shifts to a quiet apartment, where Kang Tae-san, now in a different setting, observes his phone and notes that it is New Year's Day. Despite the calm, a deeper thought emerges at midnight. He knows he must find his way back to the hell he once experienced, a place where monsters, seemingly impossible for a human player to defeat, reside. Looking at a holographic interface, he calmly states that he is not the only one facing this challenge. While walking through a modern city street, a holographic message reading "Hello" appears in front of him. A stark warning appears, stating that his world will be destroyed by monsters, and the ones he has seen are only the lowest class. Yet, a new holographic message appears, offering a simple reassurance, but do not worry. With red energy surrounding him, a golden light begins to glow from his hand. The monstrous reptilian creature is shown again, as a message states that it will have pity on any monster that a mere human player can fight. The world was consumed by fire and monstrous attacks, with a desperate plea for help heard amidst the destruction. However, a new voice appeared, a holographic message forming before Kang Tae-san, stating, "I am giving you all a chance. But do not worry." The glowing words continued, presenting a clear choice. You will all be given a chance. Choose the path you wish to take. As the burden of the world's destruction weighed on him, a desperate cry for help left his mouth, but the system offered a stark instruction: clean it and gain power. But the young man, having seen true despair, dismissed the idea of mercy. Mercy, my ass. The system, seemingly recognizing his determination, confirmed its offer. Very well. I will grant you a chance. They are called monsters, and they are impossible. Alone in the quiet, he considered the system's words, burdened by his past failures, a solitary figure deep in thought. He looked up at a distant light, a question forming in his mind. Why hasn't it turned out well? But with a new surge of determination, his steps became firm, his violet eyes lighting up with an intense, internal glow, a silent promise to change his destiny. Rain poured down, reflecting the storm inside him, yet his gaze remained steady, the bright glow of his eyes piercing the darkness. With every drop, his determination grew stronger, his glowing eyes focused on an unseen future, ready to confront the impossible again. The system interface appears, presenting a choice, prompting him to select mode, a feature that would become available only after clearing the tutorial. The first option, normal mode, promised an accessible challenge, assuring that even ordinary and frail individuals could succeed with careful strategy. Yet, a stark warning accompanied it. If one lacked strategy, they would be defeated by even the weakest monsters. Then came hard mode, a difficulty designed to challenge limits, where monsters were stronger and severely lacking. This mode warned of creatures appearing in unexpected places, growing much stronger as one progressed. Finally, solo mode appeared, a stark declaration that this path was for those who were alone. No help would be offered, the system reminded him, only the brutal necessity to kill monsters and survive, relying solely on oneself. A determined glint in his violet eyes, Kong Tae-san made his choice, a resolute declaration escaping his lips. I'll do it. His hand clenched into a tight fist, the conviction echoing his earlier words. I'll do it. The system, however, offered a final, chilling advisory, warning him against this path if he valued his life. If you value your life, do not choose this difficulty. But the young man's resolve was unshaken, a challenge forming on his lips, followed by a quiet, almost desperate plea. You're insane, right? Wait for me. After making his choice, Kong Tae-san is suddenly transported, his eyes widening in surprise as a system message begins to appear before him. The blue text hangs in the air, a reminder of the difficult path he has chosen. As the message disappears, the surroundings seem to ripple and change, a bright display of light and energy indicating a significant shift in his environment. The change is quick, a blur of blue light, before he is back on solid ground. He stands on a busy city street, the ground cracked and glowing with leftover energy, a clear difference from the dungeon he was in, as another system message appears. Looking up, he sees the familiar but strange sight of the city's tall buildings, the system confirming his location. You have returned once again. He lets out a sigh, a mix of relief and tiredness, as he looks over the rooftops, feeling a sense of familiarity. Suddenly, a new system window appears, its blue screen asking for his attention, showing the title Skill Book. The window gets bigger, showing more details about the skill book, an important item for any hunter. With a soft sound, the system shows him the specific skill, a glowing icon for return appearing before him. He reaches out, his hand near the glowing skill book, a thoughtful look on his face, saying to himself, there's a port already? I don't know why, but it's better. The system then gives more information about the return skill, explaining that the community is the only method of connecting with people in other dimensions, and that, at the moment, you can only use the return skill to return to the community. He finds himself in a city street, a stark contrast to the dungeon he just left. A system message informs him that he can only connect to the community after reaching level 100. A faint, crackling sound fills the air, and he realizes the noise he is hearing is not static, but the sound of people, a strange detail in this new world. Meanwhile, in a tavern, GM Jungian explains that the fallen are not monsters, but people who have exploded, leaving Chun surprised. Liion, holding a cup, adds to the discussion, describing the deceased as individuals who acted with reason and made their own choices. The implication is that they were real people, a truth that connects to the glowing structure now visible in the distance, hinting at this dimension's nature. Back in the city, the weight of these revelations settles upon Kong Tae-san, who sits against a wall, the sound of rustling reflecting his inner thoughts. Suddenly, he looks up, a realization crossing his face as he processes what they are talking about. His expression hardens with determination, as he dismisses the idea of this place being fake, acknowledging its reality. He stands before a large, dark structure, radiating purple energy, where the cloaked figure of Join waits. With a serious expression, Join delivers a warning. Anyone who enters this place is destined to die. Pointing towards the tower, Join reveals its name, the Broken Tower, the only way to enter the community, an opportunity given only to a few chosen individuals. Kong Tae-san's gaze sharpens, as he challenges Join's words, questioning if he is the chosen one and considering destroying this world to return to his own, thus giving this opportunity to other people. Kong Tae-san listens, arms crossed, taking in the information. While Chun shares his worry, thinking that if Kong Tae-san came from a peaceful place, he would struggle with the immediate challenges here. He needs to be careful. If he came from a peaceful environment, he'll be pressured right away. A thoughtful look appears on his face. As Chun goes on, clarifying that the maze is also called the labyrinth of living beings, a place where people actually die because of the monsters. The maze is also called the labyrinth of living beings. Some people call it the labyrinth of living beings because they die from the monsters. His eyes narrow. While Chun, seeing his calm reaction, asks why he isn't more worried by the serious warnings. This punk, why is he so calm? Kong Tae-san reveals he was thinking about something more than just the facts being given. I was thinking of something other than explanations. As Chun repeats the labyrinth's dangerous reputation, stressing that its creatures are not just monsters, but real beings whose deaths are permanent. Anyways, this is the labyrinth. Some people call it the labyrinth of living beings. Some people call it the labyrinth of living beings because they die from the monsters. He then remembers the constant talking of the gatekeeper, Join, who would always complain. That gatekeeper guy was so annoying, and he'd never shut up if you complained. A slight annoyance shows on Kong Tae-san's face as he questions if this place is truly a labyrinth. Is that really a labyrinth? Before Chun shares another part of its story, that some believe the labyrinth is a place where you can get anything you wish for. There are some people who say that the labyrinth is a place where you can get whatever you want. The young man then seriously tells of his own close call with death before he even went into the labyrinth, serving as a clear warning to others. I nearly died before ever going into the labyrinth. Kong Tae-san confirms his understanding of the situation, realizing he needs to quickly learn more about their current circumstances. Chun then extends his hand, offering an item, telling him to take it. His fingers touch the metal, and a faint blue light appears around the object as he takes hold. The light grows brighter, moving around the blade, showing a dagger that looks old but still usable. He turns the weapon in his hand, the blue energy moving over its surface. A closer look shows the details of the blade, its edges still sharp even though it looks old, with the blue light pulsing. He looks at the dagger very carefully, his face showing no clear emotion as he thinks about what it can do. The blue light around the dagger glows brighter again, showing that it has magical power. He attaches the weapon to his hip, feeling its weight as a new, comforting presence. Chun watches him, then explains that the dagger is a rusted dagger, a simple weapon with an attack power of 4, but warns that it looks like it could break at any time, making it a risky tool for their dangerous journey. Kong Tae-san, holding the weak weapon, asks why he would want such an item, but Chun just shrugs, suggesting it's the best they have. Still deep in thought, Kong Tae-san considers the items he has acquired. When his companion, Jungian, asks if something is bothering him, to which he simply replies, "No, it's nothing." His attention then shifts to a worn wrist protector that offers only +1 defense, its value having decreased from being used for a long time, a seemingly unimportant item. However, a small, dark, faceted object then catches his eye, leading him to wonder, what is this? I don't recall Liion mentioning anything like it. As they continue walking, his mind is busy. Later, leaning against a wall, his expression becomes serious as he thinks about a certain person. He remembers a past meeting, thinking, that person wasn't as strong as if they were searching for something in the labyrinth. A faint smile appears on his face as he looks back, a sign of new understanding. He is thinking of the overseer of the labyrinth, the powerful being known as Demonica, a figure of great strength. Even though Demonica, with his glowing green aura, might not be able to clear this specific labyrinth, there is something truly special about him. As Kong Tae-san walks away, a deep understanding comes to him. He is different. His eyes glow with new understanding, realizing that it's not just talent or skill that makes Demonica unique, but a more basic power, a deeper truth. With the system's stark message to power to survive echoing in his mind, Kong Tae-san rests, his eyes closed, while an unseen voice quietly hopes for his survival. His thoughts drift to the future, a quiet reflection on what lies ahead. Elsewhere, another person walks towards a large, glowing archway, the entrance to a labyrinth created by a powerful magician, where it is rumored a wish will be granted to those who complete it, despite being a sealed world. Inside, terrifying creatures reside, whose presence and even their breathing are dangerous. As Kong Tae-san extends his hand, a blue light appearing, he realizes that everything here is meant to challenge him, but overcoming this difficult place promises eternal life. He gazes into the dark void, a quiet sound escaping him as he comprehends the vastness of the task. Standing steadily, his determination grows, his feet firmly on the ground, prepared for the upcoming events. This endless labyrinth is a world where creatures perish without life force, and where finding true strength is nearly impossible. With a small, knowing smile, Kong Tae-san asks, "Shall I begin?" The quest begins, and Kong Tae-san walks deeper into the dungeon. A system message indicates quest start, reminding him that many secrets and hidden areas can be found by exploring the dungeon. With determined steps, he proceeds, entering the door to floor 1. Later, during a break, Tae-san asks Liion if she found any secret areas. She confidently replies that she did, asserting her skill as a hunter. She explains that the merchant was simple, and she only bought potions from him, while a system message shows her inventory is taken by 50%. He continues walking, with small, glowing particles visible around his feet. Sitting together, Liion clarifies that the merchant didn't sell gold, but many other items. Jungian confirms that they sell a lot of things, and Tae-san asks if they are playing. Liion holds up a pure black bracelet, which is described as a strong item that decreases damage. Considering the item, Tae-san asks if they sell similar items at the shop. A display of various swords and daggers is shown, and Liion explains that there were many more items, but she didn't have enough gold to buy them. An elderly man, dressed in a red vest, stands with his back to the viewer, observing several old banners. A voice echoes, stating, "I've been waiting for you." The area around him is filled with a soft mist, creating an atmospheric transition. Elsewhere, his thoughts turn to his goals, as he considers, if I could just buy all the items at the merchant, I'd get stronger than me. He remembers a time when he had little, reflecting, I only had 1,000 gold back then, but the situation has changed now. The elderly man in the chamber shifts slightly, and a voice asks, "Who are you?" The man's face, framed by a long white beard, is revealed as he smokes a pipe. A narration box states, You have met the Lost King. He then asks, what is your name? Kang Tae-san looks at the man, his expression neutral. The old man greets him with a simple, hello. Kang Tae-san responds, hello? Looks like you got some business. Behind a simple counter, the merchant introduces himself. I am Tybeek, the wandering merchant. Kang Tae-san then asks, and if I am? Tybeek looks away briefly before meeting his eyes again, commenting, it's not like there's a lot of people who come here. A close-up on Tybeek's face shows his expression becoming serious as he calls Kang Tae-san, brat. With a slight smirk, Tybeek leans in, beginning to explain, if I wanted to display all. The wandering merchant's thoughts reveal a profound truth. The first floor of the labyrinth would be insufficient to hold his true power. As he calmly takes a puff from his pipe, lost in contemplation, Kang Tae-san, however, directly addresses him, asking why a wanderer who doesn't sell his goods would be there, and what his actual needs are. The old man responds with a knowing look, stating that his inventory isn't the only reason for his presence, hinting at a past where he lost his kingdom and his subordinates were scattered. He then dismisses Tae-san, saying he won't show his children, his items, to someone who knows nothing, a statement Tae-san simply acknowledges. However, the merchant's expression softens slightly, suggesting that if Tae-san can prove his worth, he might consider making an exception. With that, Tae-san turns and begins to walk away from the merchant. He declares his intention to prove himself, then bids the merchant farewell and continues his departure. The old merchant watches him leave, a thoughtful expression on his face. Suddenly, Tae-san reappears, causing the merchant to gasp in surprise, nearly dropping his pipe, as the young man apologizes. Tae-san quickly clarifies that he doesn't need to clear the labyrinth to see the merchant's inventory, then once again states his intention to leave. The merchant, left alone, smiles faintly, remarking on the peculiar nature of the young man. Kang Tae-san felt a lingering unease, pondering how the wandering merchant seemed to see through all his intentions, as if possessing an all-encompassing sight. Despite his thoughts, he continued onward, questioning the merchant's true nature and the extent of his power. His path led him further into the dungeon, his footsteps quiet on the stone ground. Suddenly, a soft, glowing light appeared, catching his attention and drawing him closer. With his sword in hand, he stood ready, expecting any danger that might emerge from the darkness. Without warning, a quick, unseen attack struck, a kick that caused a strong impact. He felt the impact, purple energy sparking around him, but he remained steady, a slight smile on his face. A large, rat-like monster then appeared from the darkness, its red eyes glowing, preparing to attack. The creature then fired a strong purple energy blast, a powerful attack heading straight for him. But before the attack could hit, he moved quickly, his sword blocking the energy, showing his strong will. The purple energy faded away around him, leaving him unharmed, showing that the monster's attack had no effect. He looks down at the defeated creature, a big rat, with low defenses, a type of monster that had once been a significant challenge. A memory surfaces, showing his companions, Jungian and Chun, fighting against the monster's speed with their low mana, which made defeating it a lengthy and difficult task. However, for him now, that same creature was merely a common monster on the first floor, and he could clearly sense the change in his own strength. With a loud crack, a focused blue energy blast shoots from his hand, destroying its target. He stands over the defeated enemy, his body emitting a soft glow, while his companions express surprise at how quickly he won. In a past memory, Jungian had observed the monster's speed and how it had defeated other players, but now, it appeared surprisingly weak. He thinks to himself that he is no longer fighting by himself, and even with his low statistics, this battle is not impossible. He reviews his hunter status, where his name, Kang Tae-san, and his level 1 status with basic statistics are displayed, telling himself that it's not a problem, and he will be okay. In a distressing flashback, Liion stands surrounded by glowing particles, her face showing fear, while a somber narration explains they were simply sacrifices, with only prayer as their hope. The harsh truth of their past is emphasized by a close-up of a bloody, injured hand, a clear sign of the difficult fights they went through. The intensity of their struggle is further shown by a close-up of a blood-covered, injured face, displaying the wounds from continuous fighting. In another location, the elderly merchant Tybeek watches something with a serious look, his appearance suggesting hidden links and upcoming events. A slight smile touches his face, a clear sign of understanding, as he comprehends the situation before him. He realizes this isn't merely about surviving. It's a challenge within a chaotic maze, where the way to grow stronger is revealed to those who can overcome it, his body beginning to emit a soft blue light. With each task he completes, he feels himself growing stronger, a clear link between his efforts and his increasing power, his arm glowing blue as it hits a monster. However, it's not just about strength. It's also about accuracy and pushing his boundaries, because if he cannot match his own fast movements, he will be defeated. He lifts his hands, focusing his energy, aware that he needs to fully grasp where his growing power comes from. His leg moves with incredible speed, a blue light streaking through the dark dungeon. The hit is strong, making a large monster stumble back with a cry of pain, blue energy still visible in the air. He keeps up his attack, moving like a dark shadow too quickly to be seen, always remembering that if he can't maintain his speed, he will fail. Another monster stumbles back, its face twisted in pain as a powerful hit lands, the sound of the impact loud in the cave. His look is steady, because this fight is a test for his mind as well as his body, requiring him to discover the exact point where he can break past his own limits. The monster in front of him tightens, its leg muscles pulling in, its chest expanding, preparing for the strong, unavoidable attack. Then, with a last, powerful burst of blue energy, he uses all his strength, a single, strong word cutting through the noise. Now. Even as the monstrous big rat recoils, intimidated by his raw power, Kong Tae-san acknowledges the blessing of his new throw skills ability, yet admits he is still not accustomed to using it. A faint purple glow emanates from his arm, a testament to the nascent power within him, as he grapples with the unfamiliarity of his burgeoning strength. But the labyrinth offers no respite, and another hulking big rat charges forward, its fangs bared, ready to test his resolve. Without hesitation, he unleashes a devastating skill, his hand blazing with purple energy, striking the charging beast with a force that sends it reeling. Standing over the defeated creature, a chilling declaration escapes his lips, a stark promise of finality to any who dare oppose him. The lingering purple aura around his hand pulses with residual power, a silent testament to the raw magical force he just wielded. Another big rat falls victim to his relentless assault, its form immobilized by his attack, taking critical damage as he continues his brutal efficiency. The air shimmers with residual magic and splatters of blood, a vivid tableau of the fierce battle that just unfolded. Meanwhile, far from the chaos of the labyrinth, the elderly Tybeek sits at a rustic table, his gaze fixed with an intense, almost unnerving focus on something unseen. His weathered face, etched with years of experience, betrays a deep contemplation, as if processing information of immense significance. Following his recent combat in the labyrinth, the protagonist reappears, announcing his presence with a clear statement, "I've returned." He carries the evidence of his recent hunt, a bag labeled Big Rat Meat, suggesting its consumption is optional. You can eat it if you must. Liion turned to Kong Tae-san, asking if he also felt a similar sentiment, having thought their companion, Jiam Jungian, might be disappointed in their performance after his earlier call to action. Kong Tae-san, however, was preoccupied with his own thoughts, feeling a sense of disappointment that he hadn't been the one to deliver the finishing strike, and the memory of his comrade's expression continued to bother him, making him wonder if he was seen as a failure as a leader. He held a small, glowing purple orb, and a wave of irritation washed over him, a silent thought expressing his annoyance. A sense of lingering frustration seemed to envelop him, a dark and indistinct feeling. An elderly man, Tybeek, appeared, his voice filled with surprise as he asked, "You survived?" Tae-san, his face unreadable, responded with a question. "What did you want me to die?" Moments later, the two men sat across from each other at a table, Tybeek offering a meal. Tae-san, having recently returned from a hunt, had also brought back various monster parts, including big rat meat and big rat leather, both of good quality. Tae-san, ever practical, asked the merchant. "You also pay for these. I have 80 rats. How much can I get for them?" A flicker of surprise crossed his face as he muttered, almost to himself, surprised. I killed one. The elderly merchant, Tybeek, states that he is not interested in money from the young man. Kong Tae-san, however, questions how a speedster who just entered the labyrinth could have obtained such items. His expression thoughtful. The merchant then states that if Kong Tae-san's items meet his requirements, he will open his shop, leading Kong Tae-san to ask, "What do you sell?" With a slight smile, Tybeek replies that he sells everything, and tells him to just state what he needs. A glowing blue shield then appears before Kong Tae-san, who looks at it and asks, "A shield?" Tybeek explains it is a shield of kindred spirits, large enough to be held with one hand, gesturing towards the item. However, Kong Tae-san's attention is drawn to a glowing monster, and he comments, "I was thinking of just crushing them." A golden orb appears in Tybeek's hand, and he chuckles, saying, "Right answer." A bright golden light bursts forth with a puk and quang sound, surrounding Kong Tae-san as he walks into it, entering a new space. His expression shows a hint of surprise and curiosity as he observes what is presented. Tybeek, now holding a different blue shield, presents it to him, asking, "How's this one?" He examines the bulky tower shield, noting its specifications of +1 attack and +5 defense, and its sturdy appearance, a slight smile forming on his face. Despite its capabilities, he states that it is more than fine, but still insufficient for his needs, requiring twice its power, and decides he will have to come back another time. His eyes scan the other items, estimating that approximately 7 more individuals would be enough for his current objective, but he realizes he lacks the necessary funds. As the hunter considers his financial limitations, the merchant, with a gentle smile, unexpectedly offers the shield without charge, prompting a look of surprise from him. A system message confirms that he has acquired the bulky tower shield, and he remains visibly confused by the merchant's unexpected gift. The merchant, holding a glowing, golden orb, informs him that his requirements have already been met, and then asks him to wait. Confused, the hunter questions what is currently unfolding. The counter is now filled with various colorful, glowing potions, and magical artifacts, each emitting a soft light. He recognizes that these items are unlike any he has previously encountered, far superior to what he has seen, and believes they could genuinely assist him. The merchant, still holding the golden orb, confidently assures him that he will assist in finding the remaining items. The hunter, still confused, watches as the merchant, with a subtle expression, explains his actions as a simple investment, prompting him to question its meaning. The merchant Tybeek displayed his selection of goods, prompting Kang Tae-san to inquire about the cost of potions, which he knew were difficult to acquire in the gold mine. Tybeek confirmed that potions made up the majority of his current stock, but Kang Tae-san then requested to see items that would increase his stats. The merchant confidently stated that he possessed the best stat-increasing items, ready to present them. However, a shield presented to him was deemed unsuitable for his immediate requirements. His attention returned to the potions, their high cost and rarity in the gold mine remaining a point of consideration. A slight smirk touched his lips as he weighed his options. Tybeek persisted, presenting more items designed to boost stats, which Kang Tae-san observed carefully. His focus sharpened on increasing his attack power, believing that with a bow, he could become a formidable male hunter. He then directly asked the merchant for the price of the items. Tybeek responded with a look of deep satisfaction. Tybeek then handed over an item, which Kang Tae-san accepted. Unexpectedly, the merchant stated that he would simply give the item to him. A peaceful path winds through a glowing forest, illuminated by a soft, ethereal light. In this setting, the merchant Tybeek explains his business approach, saying, "I will invest in you, but only if you promise not to run from any fight." Kang Tae-san pays close attention, as a narration box adds, "This is a contract that ties to one's soul. Its cost is life itself." Tybeek goes on, his eyes fixed on him, "But he told me he didn't like that I was telling him to run away from fights and escape." Walking away, Kang Tae-san looks back, thinking about the merchant's words and the meaning of such a serious agreement. Deep in thought, he stands in a glowing, empty space, a narration box showing his inner question, "A difference in our methods?" Suddenly, a memory appears. He is surrounded by purple energy, stating firmly, "I didn't run from the fight." The memory changes to a glowing blue shield, his voice firm, "But I didn't run. I killed it and returned." However, the past was hard, as a monster's claw violently breaks his shield with a loud keek. The attack hits, causing 4 damage, then 5 damage, but he remains strong, a narration box saying, "You have won a great victory over the big rat." He recalls activating a glowing blue shield, a strong defense against the attack, thinking, "Like this one." A narration box shows what happened because of his past fights. "Your ability is permanently increased by 1. It adds, "This happened when I first started fighting a big rat." Now, looking at his digital stats, he wonders about the system's rules. Why are there so many statues when I only killed 1 random rat? Still deep in thought, he considers his unique abilities, reflecting on how he has always trusted his instincts, even gaining skills like instinctive dodge, instinctive shield, and instinctive counter through sheer gut feeling. Yet, a nagging doubt persists, as he cannot shake the feeling that some of these powers were not acquired through pure instinct alone, hinting at something more unusual. A quiet escapes him, as he delves deeper into the mystery of his own growth. The system's holographic display clarifies, explaining that his ability increases, even from seemingly minor past victories, are represented by numerous statues, a testament to his focused state. It further elaborates that the power and skills gained from defeated monsters are directly proportional to these statues, with more statues signifying greater and more unexpected increases. As he stands, the system announces that having escaped the labyrinth, an unexpected increase has been granted to him. He questions the nature of this new boon, his mind flashing back to a brutal encounter with a big rat, where a system window had appeared, granting him a staggering 1.2 million experience points. But that was not all he gained from that fight. He remembers, as a new skill had also manifested. This was not just any new ability, but a skill he once possessed, lost, and now miraculously regained. He concludes, with a determined gaze, that this particular skill did not come from the big rat at all, but rather from the labyrinth itself. His resolve hardens, fueled by the singular ambition to become stronger than anyone else. As he gazes upon an ornate, glowing figure, he realizes the original form of these power representations appears to be a statue. He looks down at the cracked ground, a thought forming in his mind. The creatures have multiplied. Then, with a loud shriek, a large big rat monster appears, its eyes glowing red, and a system message confirms its presence. He reacts to the monster, thinking that encountering another big rat in a labyrinth is probably typical. However, more of the red-eyed creatures appear from the darkness, and the system warns him that he is now in a difficult situation. He is now surrounded, finding himself encircled by many of the rat-like monsters. With an unsettling purple energy swirling nearby, he wonders if he is completely surrounded. As he steps into the dark, tower-like structure, a system message warns him. Kang Tae-san is now in a difficult situation, the atmosphere heavy with an unseen threat. A pack of rat-like monsters appears from the darkness, and he notes that they have pierced his barrier, their mana seemingly stronger than his current rank. Their presence triggers a system notification, prompting a fear check. The pressure from the monsters begins to affect him, as the system runs the fear check, causing him to brace himself. One of the creatures lunges forward, its claws ready to strike. However, he swiftly counters with a powerful kick, and the system confirms that all checks have been cleared. His mental strength holds firm, and the system announces that he has resisted with outstanding focus. Standing over the fallen creature, he reflects that he cannot lose, not for the sake of others, but for his own. As the previous battle concluded, a wave of energy washed over him, signaling a significant level increase. All of his attributes had improved, and a sound of exertion escaped him as he felt the new power. However, the advancements continued, as he also acquired a new ability. The system indicated that with this new skill, he could now perform a specific action, and he let out another sound of concentration. Without hesitation, he re-engaged the enemies, delivering a powerful kick to another large rat-like monster. A message confirmed his success in defeating these big rats. The continuous fighting led to further growth, resulting in another level increase. He let out a soft breath, acknowledging the new strength. His imposing presence began to affect the monsters. One big rat was visibly intimidated by him, its ability to assess the situation becoming impaired. Taking advantage of its fear, he landed another quick kick, knocking the monster off balance. The blow caused a sharp cry of pain, as the monster was sent flying. His movements were swift and precise, his feet moving quickly as he approached his next opponent, his expression focused. He stood over the defeated monster, and a faint voice seemed to thank him for its demise, a strange farewell from the creature. The aftermath of the fight was visible, with blood splattering across the dark surfaces. The path ahead was a dark, empty corridor, leading further into the unknown depths of the structure. With his increased power and new ability, he continued his journey, determined to face the next obstacles. Within the labyrinth, a hidden sanctuary is revealed, a tranquil resting place accessible only to those who willingly enter. This peaceful location is, in fact, the legendary Spring of Life, now discovered for the first time. As a first discovery bonus, its potent magic instantly begins to restore his mana, providing a momentary surge of power. He marvels at the vitality of the location, pondering what kind of environment could sustain such a vibrant spring. Settling by the shimmering waters, he allows the spring's energy to wash over him, experiencing a profound sense of rejuvenation. The system confirms his complete recovery, stating that he has returned to his best condition. Physical fatigue melts away as if he had enjoyed a deep, restorative sleep, though he acknowledges that his mental exhaustion will persist for a few more days. With a new day dawning, his resolve becomes clear. He realizes that others might be exploring the labyrinth above, and a sense of urgency compels him to return. Leaving the tranquil spring behind, he begins his ascent. His hand hovers over a holographic interface, ready to make a crucial decision. Now at level 20 and feeling invigorated, Kong Tae-san makes his choice. He will go deeper, ready to face whatever lies within. He finds himself confronted by a system message, announcing that Kong Dongjun is due a clear reward. While another message questions if someone is seeking help with the first monster, and a voice laments, Lee Sung-jae, this is maddening. He reflects on the influx of messages, noting that while many discuss the community, they don't originate from within it. His hand hovering over the holographic interface. A new message then flashes across his screen, demanding his attention. Meanwhile, Liion, also engrossed in her own holographic display, reads about herself being hailed as the strongest player to appear on the scene, though she quietly muses that the reality might be different. Back with him, the system declares a target is frightened, and he considers that no window could truly hide them, concluding that she must have been the one to defeat the boss. He ponders this information, a thoughtful hum escaping him. His fingers dance across a holographic keyboard, recalling that it was only a few days ago he himself managed to clear the labyrinth. The memory of the university, and the mention of Liion as the strongest player, resurfaces for an old man, whose shadowy figure is briefly seen. Suddenly, a sharp ring cuts through the silence, as yet another new message appears on his screen. A thought crosses his mind, questioning the reliability of the system itself. He wonders what would happen if he were to trust a bad person as a good one, especially when entering the labyrinth. Even if they knew him, he couldn't understand how they would. Sitting on the grass, he ponders the identities of Kong Dongjun, Lee Sung-jae, and Liion among the many players. Holding a glowing blue orb, he decides he should find them as well. His gaze falls upon a glowing, reddish-orange item, a piece of big rat meat. The system describes the meat as quality, plain, and says he can eat it if he must. He questions if he should eat it, thinking it won't be very good. Despite his doubts, he prepares to eat the raw meat. He gulps it down, but immediately makes a face as a system message appears, saying, running status confirmation check. The check fails, and the system bluntly states, you have food poisoning, followed by a YP. Still hunched over, he complains about eating unclean raw meat and thinks he won't be able to eat anything for some time. With a sound of relief, the system informs him that he has recovered to his best condition. Even though he recovered quickly, he still finds it hard to imagine eating the meat again, despite the system's check cleared and nothing happened messages. Holding a knife, he looks at the meat again, remembering the check failed and you have food poisoning messages. As if the confined space wasn't enough, he now grapples with severe food poisoning, a direct result of consuming the raw monster meat. It is an utterly miserable experience. Suddenly, a system message appears, stating that he has recovered to his best condition, eliciting a quiet sigh of relief. The system then informs him that he has endured numerous diseases, leading to the formation of a resistance, and has acquired the continuous conditional activation skill, disease resistance. He stands up, a small smile forming as he utters, "Bingo-o." He reaches out, his hand hovering over the blue system interface that displays the details of his new skill, disease resistance, a permanent effect that negates all forms of diseases, poisons, and curses originating from consumption. A slight smile touches his lips as he remarks, "It seems the system just granted me a skill that nullifies all types of diseases, as if to confirm my experience." He casts a glance at the murky water below, a thought forming in his mind, "But I really don't like this." The water below appears murky and uninviting, a visual reminder of the unpleasant experience he just endured. His violet eyes harden with resolve, a subtle purple glow emanating from him as he makes a silent promise to avoid similar situations in the future. He clenches his fist, the lingering memory of the raw meat's taste prompting him to state, "I am unable to eat big rat meat. It is unpleasant, but I must endure." He gazes at the piece of meat, a look of distaste on his face as he considers, "Even though I now possess disease resistance, I have no desire to consume it again." With a final sound of disgust, he discards the raw meat, concluding that some experiences, despite new immunities, are not worth repeating. Despite his recent acquisition of a new resistance, he was still confronted by the stark reality that he possessed no skills, a condition that felt like a death sentence in this world. The concept of mana, which others utilized so freely, remained entirely beyond his grasp, a source of deep frustration as he gazed blankly, his violet eyes holding a thoughtful, almost troubled expression. He understood that this knowledge was currently unhelpful, but a small hope persisted within him, a quiet desire that perhaps this situation would prove to be an exception, offering a path to overcome his current limitations. He considered that a skill capable of interpreting mana flow would be beneficial, but it was irrelevant to him as he was unable to use any skills. Nevertheless, the system had recently bestowed upon him a new continuous conditional activation skill, which manifested after he repeatedly faced near-death experiences, and as he looked at the luminous blue interface, the word skill was displayed, eliciting a questioning sound from him. The skill was named Lord of Heaven, and its proficiency level was at 0%. It stated that it could detect when he was near heaven, but it had no other discernible function, which left him confused. He pondered if the information was transmitted directly to his mind because it was a skill, but then questioned why the mana flow detector wouldn't also be classified as a skill, and he asked GM Jungian if he understood this peculiar situation. GM Jungian responded with a simple, indicating he had no understanding of the unusual new ability, leaving the hunter to his own perplexed reflections. The hunter sighed, acknowledging that the skill was completely impractical in its present form, a disappointing discovery considering his urgent need for any useful ability. He recognized that there were many more skills in existence than he had previously conceived, a vast potential he was currently unable to utilize. His frustration grew, a silent thought forming in his mind as he tightened his fist, the luminous blue energy of the skill window visible in his eyes, serving as a persistent reminder of what he could not yet comprehend, a power that remained inaccessible to him. Before a shimmering portal, Kong Taesan stands with his companions. A voice from behind him wonders how he is floating, while another offers support. His thoughts, however, are elsewhere, as he considers a solo action. He believes that even if he were to gain his companion's strength, the burden would be too immense, making this the opportune moment to proceed alone. He dismisses the idea of Kong Jungian acting alone, concluding that his companions are too weak for the current challenge, and he cannot permit them to participate. With a firm command, he instructs his friends to leave, repeating his internal conflict that even with their help, the task would be overwhelming, leaving him to question how he can possibly fight alone. His resolve hardens, and a surge of power begins to manifest around him. Blue energy crackles around his form, as a system notification confirms the activation of Unbreath. The ethereal blue glow intensifies, enveloping his feet as he prepares for the coming challenge. He realizes that by confirming his status as a hunter, he will finally gain access to skills, a crucial advantage in this dire situation. With a determined expression, he channels the surging energy, ready to unleash his newfound abilities. Meanwhile, a companion's voice explains that their ability to empower him is their only option in this critical situation, a power limited to moments when he is in a truly dire state. With a sharp, decisive movement, his determination becomes clear, a silent sign of his strong will. He lets out a soft breath, a brief moment of quiet as he looks at the information from the system. The system confirms his hard work, stating that his many attacks during training have activated a special skill called Unbreathing Attack. His attacks have given him experience, and also helped him learn new skills, showing how quickly he is improving. A new message appears, announcing that he has earned the title of Skill Player. A hint of surprise shows on his face, as the system tells him he can now learn a new skill. Suddenly, he has to get away from a large monster, and a message explains that Unbreathing Attack, lets him attack without using up mana. He just manages to block the monster's strong attack, the hit causing purple energy to spread, but even with this good skill, it's not enough to beat the powerful enemy. A hard truth hits Tae-san, his status window showing him that he is only a level 1 hunter, and his skills are too weak to defeat this monster. The detailed numbers in his level 3 status window show his current limits, listing his health, mana, strength, intelligence, and ability scores, which are still not high enough. Not discouraged, he walks deeper into the dungeon, his determination strong as he promises to slowly get stronger and learn more skills. Kong Tae-san moves with purpose, understanding that genuine improvement stems from confronting one's weaknesses and striving for growth. Acknowledging his current standing as a level 1 hunter, he resolves to diligently level up and acquire more skills to face future challenges. A blue energy emanates from his hand as a system notification confirms the activation of his new skill, Unbreathing Attack, and the acquisition of the title, Skill Player. With this new title, he gains the potential to learn all skills in the world, a capability that surpasses typical mana-based abilities. His fist glows intensely with blue light, charged with power. He recognizes the importance of mastering such mana-free skills for his advancement, a path requiring consistent training rather than luck, and one that will become increasingly difficult over time. Suddenly, a red-furred big rat monster appears before him, its eyes glowing with menace. Undeterred, he declares his intention to overcome this new adversary, his resolve firm. He swiftly punches the creature, his glowing fist connecting and causing it to recoil with a sharp squeal. The impact registers, dealing 4 points of damage to the monster. However, the creature quickly retaliates, inflicting 3 points of damage upon him. The monster continues its assault, its claws striking his arm as he blocks, resulting in another 4 points of damage, a clear indication of the ongoing struggle. Kong Tae-san knew he needed to be careful with his attacks, as his current skill consumed his health points. However, the monster quickly retaliated, hitting him for 4 points of damage. Another hit followed, and a system message warned him that he was on the brink of death. The creature's attack continued, dealing another 4 points of damage and putting him in further danger. Despite the hits, he noticed his skill proficiency 4 line of death and command increasing. However, the monster struck again, hitting him with a sharp squeak. Another hit, accompanied by a squeak, and the system again warned him that he was in danger of dying. As another attack came, he managed to activate a skill, completely blocking the monster's strike. The system confirmed his action, announcing that he had launched the special active skill, Block. He understood that Block could nullify damage stacks, but it wasn't the skill he had been hoping to use, and the system still warned him of the danger of dying. With renewed determination, he lunged forward, his fist glowing with blue energy as he delivered a powerful counterattack. In that moment of impact, a blue aura surrounded him, and the system announced, Skill Evolve. After successfully completing the first stage of the labyrinth, a significant thought crosses his mind, with the system confirming his passage through this initial trial. His companions, Jungian, Chun, and Liion, observe his pensive state, asking if something is wrong and if it concerns the recently learned skill. He confirms their assumption with a simple statement, acknowledging their accuracy. He reflects on how skills are obtained, considering if one gains what they hoped for, or if they receive an unforeseen, yet perfectly suitable, ability. Finally, the truth is revealed, showing the extraordinary power he now possesses. He gazes at the glowing screen, expressing his disbelief at the skill he has just acquired. Abruptly, the harsh reality of the dungeon returns as a large monster attacks, causing him significant damage. A crucial idea forms in his mind. What if he could develop a skill to withstand attacks, one capable of negating lethal damage? The monster continues its assault, its attacks delivering a grim message. He is in critical danger. Determined not to yield, he sets his resolve, declaring his refusal to die this way. With a burst of blue energy, he activates his defense, successfully deflecting numerous attacks that would have been fatal. A system notification appears before him, stating, You have earned the continuous conditional activation skill, Endure. The image of the monster, its fangs visible, remains in his thoughts as he considers the implications of this new skill. He looks at the glowing blue screen, his expression showing both surprise and resolve. His companions, Liion and Jungian, look at each other with concern, noticing his changed mood. He's been acting strangely since the last battle, she says quietly. He doesn't respond to anything I say. He continues walking, his thoughts focused on the potential of his new skill, a power that could alter his path. As he walks, a soft glow appears on the ground beneath him, a sign of his developing powers. The light grows brighter around his hand, as if following an unspoken order, showing his increasing control. He sits and looks at the system window, beginning to understand more about his abilities. It seems like a passive skill, he thinks, but I just used it actively, so... Suddenly, the air fills with energy, and the old merchant, Tybeek, appears with a frown, asking, So there was a visitor. A system message appears, stating that a person searching for God has been encountered, leaving Kong Tae-san confused as a faint blue light emanates from him, wondering what just happened. Elsewhere, the merchant Tybeek, standing with a woman holding a staff, notes that monsters are becoming stronger every day, understanding what that means for their world. He then mentions hearing that many solo raids have become dangerous and asks if his companion is an adventurer. Kong Tae-san, still looking at the system window, repeats the phrase, "a person searching for God?" to himself, clearly puzzled by its meaning. Liion and Jiam Jungian listen as he tries to explain the strange message, telling them it seems to be about some kind of God. With a focused expression, he closes his eyes, trying hard to remember clearly what happened after that. Suddenly, something moves very quickly, making a whoosh sound as it rushes forward. Before he can react, a strong, glowing attack hits Kong Tae-san, knocking him down to the ground with a visible impact. Tybeek's voice is heard, telling him to try and black out, and explaining that Einsel activated a non-lethal attack. Einsel, the attacker, is shown in a ready stance, her attack clearly having landed. As Einsel's attack takes effect, Kong Tae-san's eyes lose focus, and he begins to black out. The scene transitions to a vast chasm, where a towering, dark silhouette of a structure rises from swirling white mists. Two figures stand at the edge, looking down into the immense, mysterious depths below. A sudden system notification flashes into existence, its stark message declaring that Kong Tae-san's line of death has activated, as a vibrant purple aura flares around him. Overwhelmed by the ominous warning, before he can react, an invisible force slams into him, sending him recoiling backward despite his raised shield. With a powerful whomp, he retaliates, launching a fist wreathed in purple energy into the unseen assailant. Yet, the counterattack is swift and brutal, throwing him through the air, leaving him to exclaim in disbelief, "What is this?" He lands, quickly regaining his footing, a determined glint in his violet eyes, though a quiet "huh" escapes his lips as he assesses the situation. From a distance, the wandering merchant Tybeek watches the unfolding chaos, a surprised "ho" escaping his lips as the purple energy crackles around the young hunter. Tae-san, now fully committed, unleashes another devastating strike, his form a blur of purple light and raw power. The system confirms his prowess, two consecutive messages announcing that he has dealt critical damage to his target. A smirk plays on his lips, even as he acknowledges the limits of his current strength, muttering, "I can't push this." With a final, explosive impact, his fist connects, delivering a decisive blow. Engulfed in a purple aura, Kong Tae-san continues his attack, the force of his power impacting the ground. The raw energy explodes outwards, a powerful display. From a distance, Tybeek watches, a look of surprise on his face as he sees the display. His eye glowing, Tae-san processes the system's feedback, realizing he dealt only 1 point of damage but took over 35,000 himself. An unseen force hits him, making him recoil, but a system message appears, stating a non-lethal attack reduced the damage by 99%. He thinks about the fight, realizing the opponent prevented damage well, and that strong interference stopped his skills. Tybeek, now next to him, nods, saying he was surprised too. Holding a glowing purple bow, Tae-san's face becomes serious, feeling thankful for the challenge, but also determined to finish it properly. Tybeek interrupts him, asking why he didn't just let him take care of it, then agrees with himself. Taking Tae-san's hand, the merchant reveals his true plan, saying he never meant to kill him and that it was all just a test. He explains that even if he hadn't done anything, Tae-san would have lived, so his serious attitude wasn't needed, which surprises Tae-san. Smiling, Tybeek holds up a glowing orb, saying that since he is close to death, he should be the one to say goodbye, and thanks Tae-san for participating in his game. Though he knows he shouldn't have these memories, a thought strikes Kong Tae-san. Tybeek knows about her, about Liion, a fact even she did not know. Tybeek continues, saying he is a little sad but has no regrets, and confirms that Kong Tae-san has passed his test. He then gestures, speaking about the many people in the world. A flashback begins, showing Liion, her eyes wide with a gasp, as if she saw something surprising. She looks closely at her reflection in a calm pool, her face showing both wonder and worry. Back in the present, Tybeek's voice is heard, asking for one last favor, with a rustling sound. The flashback continues, as Liion, surprised, cries out, her mind confused by something she cannot see. A soft sound leaves her lips, as a voice calls her a feeble coward. Tybeek stands, his face showing no clear emotion, as if thinking about his request. He stays still, looking at something out of view, waiting for an answer. The story tells that Liion once said she could see the end of everything in life, and after that, she was never seen again. But this new detail changes things. Still processing the recent revelations, Tae-san is surprised when Tybeek, with an expression of delight, takes hold of his arm. When the older man then requests one final favor, Tae-san quickly declines, leading Tybeek to ask why he always refuses help and if he is fearful. With a knowing smile, Tybeek appears to enjoy the younger man's hesitation. He explains that he simply didn't think anyone could assist him, a remark Tae-san brushes off with a brief "anyway." The old man then states that no one in the world can help him except himself, before proudly announcing that Tae-san has, in that regard, passed his test. Confused by the mysterious statement, Tae-san responds with a bewildered "huh," and admits that the explanation is unclear, though he understands the need for caution. With a flourish, Tybeek presents a small, glowing orb, declaring it a gift he received from his father. Still cautious of the eccentric old man, Taesan expresses his valid reasons for being suspicious. Meanwhile, the narrative shifts to a broader perspective, explaining that many gods exist across the universe, some appearing as dark, imposing figures in ruined settings. Among these, two glowing, humanoid figures are shown, believed to be the creators of the world and all humans. However, Taesan's father was unaware of these greater truths, only knowing the gods of his world, because there was one god who was distinct from all others, as the young man walks through a desolate, ruined landscape. Returning to the present, Taesan, looking up, asks about the orb, and Tybeek responds that it is merely a gift, causing the young man to repeat, a gift, in surprise. Throughout the universe, many gods exist, each one a creator who shapes worlds and brings forth life. However, among these many gods, there was one unique being, a god so different that even the other deities found it hard to understand its true nature. A being whose influence was so subtle and widespread that it was often mistaken for simple chance or the natural way of the world. A god whose real power was not in obvious creation, but in carefully guiding fate, creating paths that even the most powerful creators could not see, and this was the god who created humanity. Meanwhile, in the present, Tybeek's voice sounds wise and old, his words carrying the weight of a long past as he keeps talking about the mysterious orb, leaving Taesan completely confused by the mysterious statements and the strange gift he now holds. The elders look as sharp as he explains that the orb is a gift from his glorious father, a statement that only makes the mystery of its true purpose even deeper. He goes on, his voice holding a hint of a challenge, asking if Taesan truly understands what such an important gift means. Taesan, still trying to deal with the seriousness of the situation, can only look at the glowing object, his mind working hard to understand the elder's words. He finally manages to speak his confusion, asking about the true nature of the gift and the test he supposedly passed. With a knowing smile, Tybeek leans closer, his next question directly challenging Taesan's understanding of his own path, leaving the young man to think about the real meaning of his life and the cosmic forces now affecting him. Tybeek, with a knowing look, asks Kong Taesan if he has learned his lessons from the recent test. After a moment of thought, he replies that he would like to. Tybeek hums in thought, and Taesan's face shows confusion, as if he wants to say something more. He then asks for clarification, wanting to know exactly what Tybeek means, and offers an apology for his past behavior. Tybeek, however, dismisses the idea of an apology, stating that he never forced him to do anything. A frustrated ha escapes Taesan, as he considers the merchant's statement. Tybeek's expression becomes serious, stating that this is a different story altogether. He continues, explaining that apologies are worthless, and as an adventurer, he assumed Taesan would want power, believing he was right to think so. Looking down, Taesan agrees it was more than all right, admitting the outcome was much better than he could have imagined, feeling a great sense of relief. Tybeek then reveals a key detail, saying that he researched Taesan's actions, suggesting a more planned involvement. With a final, mysterious instruction, Tybeek gives him a new task, to find out who his glorious father is. The scene opens on two old, glowing swords, stuck in the ground, their light shining in the darkness. These, the narrator explains, are very important skills in the labyrinth. Among them, the first thing that comes to mind is a sword, a single attack that can be used again and again. A cloaked figure shows, green energy spinning around his blade. If you need a sword, then Weed Arts is the answer, he goes on, holding up a blade that glows with bright green light, while Kong Taesan and Liion watch closely. If you need a shield, then Overshield, he says, a purple glow appears around a shield he creates, explaining that as a skill gets better, you can use more weapons with it. And so, he gestures, a small, glowing ball floating above his hand. There is a skill that brings all of them together, his group watching carefully. It's not just a skill, but one that could always be called the most useful, he explains, now holding both a glowing sword and shield, surrounded by a golden light. This, he says, is called the Overseer's weapon, his look distant and calm. He then looks at Kong Taesan, asking if he is the weapon he wants to teach. A look of great surprise crosses Kong Taesan's face, a sound of awkwardness coming from him. The cloaked figure, Chun, asks if he can't think of anything else, to which Kong Taesan replies that being versatile doesn't make it special. Lost in thought, he thinks about it, wondering about his current added attack. Chun, the Overseer, continues his explanation, stating that indispensable skills are those that can be used in multiple situations, and the most basic among them is the Overseer's weapon. He explains that this functional basic skill activates as a weapon, shield, and armor, and can be used in any situation, becoming all the weapons one needs. Kong Taesan, still processing the information, asks what he means by to use a skill, and Chun responds that one does not need to be able to use weapons to utilize this particular skill. Without further explanation, Chun demonstrates, delivering a forceful, weaponless punch that causes Einzel to recoil. A system message appears, indicating for damage to Einzel, and Chun comments that he would have to be out of his mind to use a physical weapon, acknowledging his error. He then addresses Kong Taesan, implying he might be the one who is out of his mind, and explains that attacks are made with one's fists, which is why a separate weapon is unnecessary. Another impact sounds, as Chun delivers a second blow, which Einzel attempts to block with a glowing shield. Despite her defensive efforts, the system confirms 2 damage to Einzel, indicating the skill's effectiveness. Join then turns back to Kang Tae-san, asking if he noticed what he wanted to show him, and repeats that one does not need to be able to use weapons to use the skill. With numerical indicators 20 and 50 visible, Join emphasizes that the skill can be used in any situation. Kang Tae-san, however, questions the obviousness of the statement, while Join reiterates that the Overseer's weapon is a skill for any situation and does not require weapon proficiency. That is why it is called the Overseer's weapon and can be used in any situation, Join concludes, but Kang Tae-san still finds himself questioning if such a skill might be uncomfortable to use. Join dismisses the idea of being limited to a single weapon type, calling it an insignificant rule, demonstrating by striking Einzel with an ethereal weapon, and explains that the skill means one doesn't need a weapon, but can also use it as a shield, armor, or to tackle someone. He reiterates that proficiency with weapons is not needed, while Einzel, recovering, asks how a weapon is even used. However, a thoughtful expression crosses his face as he admits that even after using the skill extensively, he feels a bit uncomfortable. Kang Tae-san watches him, his expression thoughtful. Join explains further, stating that fighting with bare hands naturally feels awkward, and no matter how much he uses it, he can't get used to the feeling, which surprises Kang Tae-san. He wonders if the awkwardness comes from fighting with the edge of one's body, a thought he repeats, while Kang Tae-san looks at his hands, considering the idea. A realization hits Kang Tae-san, understanding the reason, and he concludes that this skill is practically a weapon that can be used without any weapon proficiency. Elsewhere, in a dungeon, GM Jungian thanks his companion, while Lee Changchen questions if their actions were worth it. They continue through a long, narrow dungeon corridor, with the numbers 20 and 50 visible. Back with the others, Kang Tae-san's face shows deep admiration, as he states that the skill is truly amazing. He concludes that this skill has the value of a main skill. The elder continues to explain to Einzel that the skill is not something one can simply be given or receive, but rather something that must be learned. Einzel understands this, as Tae-san observes them. He further explains that this weapon can only be obtained through understanding and practice, not by simply being taught. Einzel turns and walks away, seemingly accepting his words, and at that moment, a notification appears, indicating that Tae-san has received a skill. The elder then tells Einzel that he will be waiting for her to master the skill, and that he will also continue his own training. Meanwhile, Tae-san receives 2 basic skills, Overseer's Weapon Arts and Overseer's Weapon Arts, Unarmed Combat. He reacts with shock, feeling all sorts of skills and knowledge flowing into him, and wonders if he can receive a skill so easily. His hand begins to glow, a clear sign of the Overseer's Weapon skill activating. Immediately after, he receives another skill, Overseer's Weapon Arts, Creator's Weapon. Finally, he receives the ultimate skill, Overseer's Weapon Arts, Absolute Weapon, which allows him to use his body as a weapon, shield, armor, or to tackle opponents, and will grow with his understanding. At the same time, the elder tells Einzel again that he will wait for her to become a prominent warrior, and that he will also train. A system message then appears, stating that Tae-san has received a ring of the Overseer. Einzel holds out a ring, explaining that since it wouldn't be good to get or receive it from her, she hopes he accepts this instead. Holding the ring, Tae-san expresses his gratitude, saying he will cherish it. He then reads the ring's description, which states it is a ring of the Overseer, given by the creator of the Overseer's Weapon Arts, and that it will grow with the user. Tybeek explains that the Overseer's Weapon Arts skill is not fixed, but rather grows and adapts based on the user's understanding and will. Tybeek then encourages him to accept this truth, and Kang Tae-san, with determination in his gaze, states that he is ready to test the skill. His hands clench in preparation, as he gets ready to use the power he has gained. With a burst of energy, he activates the Overseer's Weapon Arts, and a bright blue aura surrounds him. He moves with incredible speed, appearing as a blur and leaving faint afterimages behind him. His body becomes a weapon, and he delivers a powerful kick that creates a bright purple energy impact, the force of which resonates in the room. Immediately after, he delivers a strong punch, each hit showing the skill's destructive power as it cuts through the air. The immense force of his attacks causes pieces of the training area to break off and fall, showing the great power he now possesses. He continues with a rapid series of attacks, his movements creating a swirling purple energy, each hit a precise and powerful blow that breaks through the labyrinth's defenses. The purple energy grows stronger, forming a destructive vortex around him, as he uses the full power of the Overseer's Weapon Arts in a constant, overwhelming attack. With a last, explosive hit, he delivers a blow that breaks the air itself, leaving behind a shimmering trail of power. The effects of his ultimate skill remain, showing the absolute weapon he has become, his body now a channel for immense destructive power, prepared for any challenge the labyrinth presents. The test continued as a powerful adversary unleashed a pink-hued attack, her energy forming a swirling vortex that enveloped the immediate surroundings. However, the protagonist, unwilling to surrender, countered with a swift, glowing blade, his attack leaving a bright blue energy trail in its wake. Despite the resistance, the relentless assault continued, the pink energy flaring brighter as the adversary pressed her advantage. The clash of powers resulted in a resounding impact, causing shimmering particles to scatter through the air. Overwhelmed by the force, he was sent sprawling to the ground, landing with a heavy thud as the dust settled around him. A system window then appeared before him, displaying an important update. His Overseer's weapon art skill had gained a significant proficiency boost, now at 2%. A faint blue aura flickered around him as he processed the information, a quiet thought forming in his mind about the skill's true nature. Meanwhile, the test giver observed his reaction, her own thoughts reflecting the sentiment. The skill's adaptability was truly remarkable, evolving with each use. From a distance, the wise merchant also watched the unfolding events, his gaze fixed on the protagonist with a knowing expression. Later, sitting calmly on the ground, the protagonist reflected on the experience, the intensity of the battle still fresh in his mind. The test giver approached him, her voice carrying a hint of expectation, asking him to promise 2 things before she would reveal more. He readily agreed, eager for the knowledge, while she explained that the skill's true potential lay in its continuous evolution through combat. Tybeek, the elderly merchant, explains a crucial detail about the Overseer's weapon arts, stating that the skill is not just a technique, but a living weapon that grows with its user. Kong Tae-san listens carefully, understanding the importance of this information, while Tybeek explains that the skill's real strength comes from constant fighting and a thorough grasp of what it is. He then asks an important question, wondering if the skill's growth is connected to the Overseer of the labyrinth itself, a being whose presence seems linked to this special ability. Tybeek confirms this, saying that the skill is a part of the Overseer's power, a piece of demonica that gives its user great flexibility and the ability to grow. He goes on to describe the Overseer, calling demonica a very powerful being, a labyrinth bell that holds the memories of many fights, her appearance changing and growing, just like the skill. This new information makes Kong Tae-san think deeply, his face showing his thoughts as he takes it all in, realizing that his most powerful skill is more than just a tool. It's a link to a strong, changing being. Tybeek then asks if he has more questions, looking at him steadily, as if he knows what the young hunter will ask next. Kong Tae-san, thinking quickly about all the new information, turns to speak to Einzel, wanting to know more about where this mysterious Overseer might be. Before Einzel can answer, Tybeek steps in with a knowing smile, saying with confidence that he knows exactly where the Overseer lives. His hands rest on his hips, a sign of certainty and completion, as the meaning of what he said fills the space around them. An elderly man, with a long white beard and dressed in gold and crimson armor, looks on with an expression of disbelief, his voice questioning the situation. He struggles to understand the words spoken by the young man before him, who stands confidently, prepared to share surprising information. Tybeek, the older man, immediately rejects the idea, his face showing concern as he states that the young man is speaking foolishly, having already investigated the issue himself. He goes on to explain that the entire labyrinth is one large, complex structure, which means it would be very difficult to easily locate such a specific item within it. Tybeek's doubt grows, and he speaks with a hint of scorn, asking how someone who hasn't even completed the first level could know so much, suggesting they have no real understanding. However, Kong Tae-san remains calm, his violet eyes fixed steadily as he prepares to address the older man's concerns. With a confident statement, he asks Tybeek to trust him, explaining that his world contains an item linked to the labyrinth. Pointing clearly, Kong Tae-san explains that the particular labyrinth Tybeek is looking for is connected to the demonica, a location where its special energy is found, assuring him that he will know it when he encounters it. The information clearly surprises Tybeek, his eyes opening wide in shock as he fully understands what Kong Tae-san has said. With his mouth slightly open, the older man considers the last, surprising piece of information, an item that can only be found in a labyrinth of a god. As the labyrinthine depths glow beneath their feet, Kong Tae-san reveals the item he spoke of, a small, intricate bronze ring, expressing his relief to have Tybeek on his side, given the inherent distrust within such dangerous places. Presenting the glowing artifact, he reiterates that this is the relic from his world, the bronze ring, prompting a curious inquiry from Tybeek about its nature. With a serious gaze, Kong Tae-san admits his usual caution with trust, but affirms his faith in the elder, reinforcing his gratitude for their alliance. Meanwhile, Tybeek, holding his ancient secret book, confirms the presence of the goddess's labyrinth within its pages, his expression shifting from skepticism to intrigue. A shared moment of realization passes between them, as both men exclaim in unison, confirming the incredible truth. With the revelation solidifying their bond, Tybeek expresses his gladness to have Kong Tae-san on his side, while the younger man bows deeply, overwhelmed with gratitude. As they delve into the Floor 10, library section of the book, Kong Tae-san reaches out, acknowledging his deep indebtedness to the elder for sharing such invaluable knowledge. Tybeek, however, cuts him off, a stern expression on his face as he playfully chides the younger man for hurting his pride with such excessive humility. Scratching his head sheepishly, Kong Tae-san apologizes, admitting he got a little carried away in the moment. Tybeek then turns his attention back to the artifact, musing over the bronze ring and its origin as a relic from another world, a hint of wonder in his voice. The ring itself, now displayed in a detailed status window, reveals its properties. a bronze ring granting plus 50 health, a relic from another world, obtainable only from a labyrinth of a god, and bound to its first wearer, promising a truly beneficial exchange. As the full implications of the ring's description sink in, Kang Tae-san is left in awe, realizing such an item would have been an invaluable asset for the eternity he had endured. He listens as Tybeek confirms the bronze ring's origin, stating it is from the goddess's labyrinth, though not the one he had expected, causing him to ask, "What do you mean?" Tybeek, feeling relieved, states he will go and prepare himself, then asks, "Are you thinking of going alone?" The old merchant confirms his findings again, thanking him for showing such a rare item, and promises to repay him in the future. Tybeek laughs heartily, appreciating the generosity, and states that his companion is the last person to be rewarded in this way. A laugh escapes Kang Tae-san, as green particles swirl around him. Tybeek, however, believes his companion will always be a low-rank hunter, still trying to reach the goddess when they meet again, ultimately being a fool. As Tybeek thinks this, a faint blue glow appears around his hand, showing a hint of his own power. Meanwhile, Kang Tae-san thinks about the exchange, saying that Tybeek should not have given him the bronze ring. He finds himself in a dark, empty space, with distant, shimmering lights. Looking at a holographic screen, he realizes that after getting the bronze ring, his abilities are getting a boost. The screen confirms that the bronze ring skill has been activated, and that it is bound to the first wearer, meaning he has now obtained the skill. However, his expression changes as he sees an image of a dragon, realizing that the ring's power does not seem to work on it, which he had expected. But before that, he remembers Tybeek, the lost king, saying he had gone to the goddess's labyrinth and found a bronze ring, which he called a ring of limitation. And the labyrinth itself was known to be. Tybeek had once said that you couldn't go through the labyrinth alone, and even though only one person could enter the secret room, you couldn't find it by yourself either. However, to Tae-san, the labyrinth felt like an ordinary dungeon, making him confident that he could get all the items by himself. If there was a bronze ring inside, he was sure it would be his, even if it wasn't the one Tybeek, the lost king, had talked about. Then, a sudden understanding came to him as he looked down at it. There was only one way into this room, but even with just one entrance, the room was completely empty. A space that seemed ready for life, a place that many people had visited over time. He understood that secret rooms existed in places like this labyrinth. He carefully examined the stone walls, his hands touching the rough surfaces, looking for any sign of a hidden room. He thought about these secret rooms, knowing they appeared randomly without any special conditions or hints, meaning no one would help him find them. A slight frown appeared on his face as he realized this search would take him a long time. Still, he continued his search, his hands and feet carefully checking every surface, as if the walls themselves were reacting to his presence. He climbed steep rock walls, moved along dangerous ledges, and explored forgotten cracks, his determination strong despite the quiet of the labyrinth. Finally, after a very long and difficult search, he fell onto the cold ground, letting out a tired sigh as he recognized how much effort it had taken. Still, a small smile appeared on his face as he looked up, feeling a sense of achievement, knowing this difficult search was much better than just surviving a month in the goddess's labyrinth. Then, as his hand touched a normal-looking part of the wall, a bright light appeared, showing his success. His skill had increased, and a message announced he was the first to find this secret room, giving him the title Adventurer and permanently raising his intelligence by 3 points. Stepping into the new room, he saw it, the treasure of the secret room, glowing softly in the low light. Inside the secret chamber, a single treasure chest rests, its presence hinting at a valuable discovery. However, as he approaches, a faint sound from below catches his attention, and he understands that claiming the treasure won't be as straightforward as it seems. Looking down into the darkness, he prepares for what might emerge. From the depths, a large rat-like monster suddenly appears, its eyes reflecting a clear threat. The creature lunges quickly, surprising him with its sudden attack. As it gets closer, he realizes it's a dangerous monster, not just a small animal. Moving quickly, he skillfully dodges its first attack, relying on his quick reflexes. The monster continues its attack, but he moves around its every lunge, using quick movements to stay safe. Then, with a burst of energy, his hand begins to glow, as he gets ready for a strong counterattack while the creature cries out. He uses Arrow Tempest, sending many magical arrows from his hand, which breaks through the monster's defenses and defeats it with one powerful hit. Standing over the defeated creature, he calmly looks at the situation, ready to take his reward. His hands still faintly glowing from the fight, his focus becomes stronger as the next part of his journey awaits. After defeating the Guardian, Kang Tae-san pauses in the corridor. He reflects on his current abilities, noting, "Right now, I'm abnormally stronger than most players on floor 1. He considers the potential of his power, believing, so I can probably use it if I concentrate enough. His thoughts turn to his available resources as he quietly asks himself, did I have about 7 arrows? While an arrow forms in his hand. A purple aura flares around him, and several glowing arrows manifest, circling him with intense energy. With a focused expression, he resolves, then I'll use some from here, preparing to launch the spectral projectiles. Deep within a dungeon, Kong Taesin stands, his gaze sharp and focused, as a vibrant purple aura ignites around him, preparing for the next encounter. However, the battle proves challenging, leaving him momentarily on the ground, a thought escaping him. It's getting more difficult. Yet, his resolve remains unshaken, his eyes burning with determination to push forward. And he surges ahead, a trail of purple energy marking his path, a comment on his lips. Well, I was hoping it would be a waste to buy armor at the shop. He pauses to carefully prepare an arrow, knowing that some, like the powered arrow and paralyzed arrow he possesses, are too valuable to waste, muttering, there are some rare ones. His gaze fixed on the specialized projectile, affirming, well, that's just for me, before adding, so I can't just throw it away, huh? With a swift motion, the arrow is unleashed, a streak of purple energy tearing through the dungeon air. And as he observes a holographic display of his abilities, a quiet realization settles over him. My skills are light. He takes a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the challenge ahead, preparing to unleash his full power. A soft, violet glow emanates from his hand. As he channels his energy, a low sound escaping his lips. Then, with a sudden, explosive burst, he unleashes a rapid, powerful strike, the air crackling around him. His eyes scan the intricate, glowing pathways, confirming his location within the labyrinth. Without hesitation, he launches a volley of glowing projectiles, each one a beacon of destructive force tearing through the darkness. He meticulously executes his technique, counting 1, 2, in his mind, determined to achieve a perfect process. The assault continues, 3, 4, echoing with each powerful impact, as vibrant energy bursts from his every move. Finally, with a surge of raw power, he unleashes the devastating final fifth strike, engulfing his target in a brilliant explosion. Landing with a grunt, the air still shimmering with residual magic, he feels the surge of power from his newly activated annihilation attack, granting him 100% proficiency for the next 10 seconds. As the magical particles dissipate around him, he registers a satisfying increase in his quest proficiency, pushing him further towards his goals. The barrage of magical arrows continued, each one a shimmering purple streak. With a determined look, the purple projectiles continued, forcing him to move quickly. He twisted and turned, deflecting another arrow with a precise motion. He grunted with effort as he parried another volley. He held his ground, his focus unwavering. He pushed through the pain, his voice a low growl, knowing he had to endure. Then, with a surge of power, his hand glowing with golden energy. No longer just defending, he charged forward, a golden aura erupting around him. With a powerful stomp that cracked the ground beneath him. His face illuminated by the power within him, he glared into the void. Standing amidst the dissipating golden energy, his back to the unseen enemy. He braces himself as a flurry of glowing magical arrows descends upon him, each one a searing point of light, while a system counts down the relentless barrage. With a defiant roar, he endures the onslaught, the arrows striking his body with concussive force, yet he refuses to yield. His arm flashes out, deflecting one of the projectiles with a burst of raw power, sending it careening away. Another arrow closes in, but he parries it with a swift, practiced motion, his resolve hardening with each impact. Still, the relentless assault continues, a direct hit tearing through his defenses, the pain a sharp, burning reminder of the trial's intensity. Another impact sends him reeling, the system coldly confirming the damage, yet his eyes blaze with an unyielding fire. He clenches his jaw, the sheer volume of incoming attacks threatening to overwhelm him, but he refuses to break. A grunt of pain escapes him, the arrows piercing his defenses again, each hit a testament to the trial's brutal nature. As the final projectiles strike, he realizes the true nature of this test. Not just survival, but mastery over the very forces arrayed against him. With a surge of inner power, he begins to manipulate the remaining magical energy, twisting the trajectories of the arrows, gathering them into a swirling vortex of retribution. His eyes glow with fierce determination as he unleashes the concentrated energy, a blinding torrent of blue light erupting from his hands. The counterattack surges forward, a powerful wave of redirected magic hurtling back towards his unseen adversaries, a clear challenge echoing through the chamber. He reaches into the glowing chest, preparing for the Fenrir, his hands grasping a powerful artifact. He pulls out a staff that radiates immense power, a look of surprise on his face. He examines the artifact, noting its impracticality for a raid due to its weight and high mana consumption, but its gold-gray quality makes him wonder if it is the legendary staff. The Staff of Fire glows, revealing its true nature as an artifact containing the power of a fire dragon, and he confirms its authenticity. Holding the staff, surrounded by a magical aura, he also considers the Staff of Fenrir, while the shadowy figure of Join watches him from behind. With glowing red eyes, the Overseer's thoughts are clear. If this is how he intends to fight, the Overseer will be more successful in the future. That thought lingers as he stands determined, ready for the next challenge. Suddenly, he delivers a swift kick to a monstrous wolf, sending it reeling from the impact. Purple energy trails from his leg as he continues the assault, lamenting that he cannot use any of his skills. Another monster falls victim to his physical prowess, struck down with another powerful kick. Even in a weakened state, he easily defeats the monsters, and a system message confirms he has met the conditions for a hidden quest, prompting a satisfied nice from him. Standing over the defeated foes, the system declares his victory. Kong Tae-san walks forward, prepared for the day's challenges. He passes through a large doorway, entering a new part of the labyrinth. A soft glow comes from his hand, confirming that he has recovered to his peak condition. He rests by a calm pool and opens his status window to check his new skills. A list of new skills appears on the screen, all gained from the hidden quest. As he expected, all of them are of the highest rank. The Staff of Fire and the Staff of Fenrir appear on the display, powerful items he hopes to use soon. With all rewards seemingly claimed from the trial, he considers ending it. He continues through the green labyrinth, finding its structure to be simple. The map shows a path to the sealed boss room, where defeating the boss will bring rewards. Standing before a large, decorated door, he decides it would be a waste to leave without facing what's inside. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure watches from a distance, a quiet hum of energy around them. Entering the boss chamber, Kong Tae-san immediately moves to engage the large, rat-like monster, delivering a swift kick. His foot connects with a solid impact, and he follows up with another quick kick. After the initial attack, he looks at the creature, recognizing it as the giant rat, a monster he hasn't seen in a long time. The rat, however, lets out a loud shriek, and its body glows with a fierce red energy. Holding his shield, Kong Tae-san questions the situation, wondering if this monster is really the first floor boss of the labyrinth. He remembers a past conversation about this type of boss, and how many players had been defeated by it, making him think about its potential power. The giant rat cries out again, its red energy growing stronger, clearly challenging him. With a determined look and a faint blue glow around him, Kong Tae-san grips his shield, challenging the monster to come at him. A player can infer that the figure before them isn't merely a monster, but a strategic opponent, as Einzel, with a chilling resolve. Then, with a swift, decisive motion, she ignites it, unleashing a fiery explosion that engulfs the confined space, leaving a whole minute to spare before the boss of the labyrinth can even leave its room. Meanwhile, Kong Tae-san considers the situation, realizing that with only one entry point, this might be the perfect timing to strike. But then, a message about the labyrinth appears, and without hesitation, he unleashes a powerful kick, sending a monstrous creature reeling from the impact. As the beast stumbles, Kong Tae-san's hand ignites with a furious orange glow, activating a devastating fireball spell, ready to incinerate his foe. As the battle continued, the giant ant sustained another significant blow, its leg glowing red from the impact. A system message confirmed 14 damage to giant ant, indicating that enduring such a fierce battle was increasing its endurance. Despite its attempts to move, the attacks persisted, with another 14 damage to giant ant appearing. A check cleared. Gain 100 XP, bonus. Notification followed, prompting a moment of inquiry from the hunter. A yellow aura flared around his arm, as the hunter pressed on, realizing that the temporary buffs he had accumulated from dealing damage every 10 seconds were still insufficient to defeat the creature. Unleashing a powerful attack imbued with purple energy, he struck the giant ant again, the system confirming another 14 damage to giant ant, as the creature visibly reacted to the blow. The purple energy continued to flow as each strike landed, resulting in another 14 damage to giant ant, and a check cleared. Gain 100 XP, bonus. Despite the ongoing struggle, he remained determined, vowing to continue until his limits were reached. Changing his approach, he drew a bow, which glowed with a vibrant green aura, preparing to engage the monster from a distance. With a swift swish, a series of green energy arrows flew towards the giant ant, striking it with force. Finally, a system message appeared, announcing, the giant ant has been defeated, and stating that it cannot move until 7 days have passed, confirming the successful defeat of the boss monster. Holding a single, glowing green arrow, the hunter looked ahead, a calm expression on his face, reflecting on the recently concluded battle. However, a moment from the intense final struggle is recalled, showing another 14 damage to giant ant, as a voice asks, "Are you sure you have enough mana to keep this up?" highlighting the demanding nature of the battle. Despite the concern, he showed no hesitation, preparing to fire another arrow with the intent to continue accumulating damage on the monster. With a final, pained KWK, the giant ant received the decisive blow, its large body reacting violently as the intense battle concluded. He feels an overwhelming surge of power, each battle pushing him further, bringing him closer to his goal. With every strike and every wound endured, he knows he is becoming stronger. But the giant ant is not giving up, letting out an enraged shriek that echoes through the cavern, its body glowing with red energy. Staring down at the creature, he wonders if this is the time for the final push. The giant ant's shadowy form looms, its red eyes burning with intensified fury, a clear sign of its desperate state. This is the critical threshold. When its health drops below 10%, it enters a berserk mode, a terrifying phase where even a paralyzed hunter nearby can only scream, "Save me." But he refuses to yield, charging forward with a powerful, glowing punch, declaring, "We can't run from this. We've got to get stronger. We'll just have to fight." The giant ant responds with another furious shriek, its monstrous mouth wide open in defiance. Its entire body radiates intense red energy, a system notification confirming the giant ant is enraged. Unyielding, he continues his relentless assault, striking the creature with focused, powerful blows, shattering the ground beneath them. With a final, devastating strike, his body enveloped in a brilliant blue aura, he delivers the decisive blow, ending the rampage. As the relentless assault continues, Kang Tae-san feels an electrifying surge, a profound connection to the mana flowing through him, registering 0 damage from the blows. He realizes, with a strange clarity, that this battle is making him stronger, each impact transforming him. With newfound resolve, he slams a mana-infused fist into the ground, the impact erupting in a flash of blue energy. The giant ant recoils, a shriek tearing from its maw, its monstrous form momentarily stunned by the force. From the earth beneath them, a violent surge of purple-pink energy erupts, signaling a shift in the creature's state. The giant ant, now consumed by a berserker rage, lets out another shriek as its body pulses with raw power. Its eyes blaze with red light, a terrifying snarl twisting its monstrous features. The enraged creature strikes back, its clawed limb tearing into him, inflicting 5 points of damage as a crimson aura explodes from the impact. But the hunter is faster, a blur of motion as he unleashes unlimited power, delivering a rapid-fire barrage of blue punches that tear into the giant ant for 7 damage. With each devastating blow, his resolve hardens, a fierce declaration escaping his lips. I'm coming out of this stronger. I'm going to become a monster. Then, he vows. He channels every ounce of his strength into a final, explosive strike, a blue-tinged fist blurring through the air to connect with shattering force. As the dust settles, the system confirms his triumph. You have activated unrelaying attack, granting him a brief 5 seconds of freedom from the need to breathe. Even as he lands a strike, the large giant rat manages to counterattack, inflicting minor damage. However, the creature's attack continues, and a strong blow causes him significant pain, momentarily affecting his balance. Despite the pain, he stands firm, his body glowing with a blue light as he activates his reflect ability, preparing to counter the next attack. With renewed focus, he moves quickly, a streak of speed, determined to finish the battle swiftly. Jumping into the air, he attacks the giant rat from above with a strong, curving strike, creating a powerful impact. He immediately continues his attack, striking the monster again with great force, causing it to stumble back from the impact. A wave of blue energy bursts from his attack, surrounding the giant rat, and causing it significant harm as he keeps attacking. His energy grows stronger, a bright blue light, as he delivers a powerful, final attack, covering the monster in a bright burst of energy. The giant rat cries out in pain, its body glowing red from the impact as his attack breaks through its defenses. He continues his attack, landing another heavy hit, showing his strong determination. At last, with a loud sound, the huge giant rat falls, its large body now still and defeated. Standing firm as the dust settles, he sees the message confirming his victory, having defeated another strong enemy with his strength. Having just defeated the floor boss, he stands victorious, as system messages confirm his success and the acquisition of both regular rewards and a hidden condition bonus. Golden light surrounds him, announcing his level up and the successful completion of the hidden condition on the first floor. A smile spreads across his face as he enjoys the light, the feeling of power from leveling up a satisfying sensation. His eyes fall upon the rewards, a single random stat increase potion among them, a clear sign of his victory. However, the hidden condition gives an even better prize, 2 targeted stat increase potions, glowing with a soft light, promising specific improvements. He looks closely at the golden potion in his hand, realizing these are items usually found on much higher floors, typically after floor 50. Sitting down to check his rewards, Kang Tae-san thinks that the targeted potions must be for strength, considering his fighting style. Holding a red potion, he sees a system message. His strength has permanently increased by 1 point, a blessing from the Guardian. He confirms the permanent increase, saying, alright, before his full status window appears, showing him at level 4 with strength 17, intelligence 16, and dexterity 30, though the system notes his poor condition. His hands rest on his knees as he looks at the numbers, the stats showing his growing power. He chuckles softly, thinking about the effort he put into clearing the giant rat's lair, feeling almost as if he's back on floor 1, despite his progress. Then, a new thought comes to him. He believes he's also gained a new skill, adding to his growing abilities. A system window appears before him, displaying a new skill, conditional activation skill, counter. It requires 5 mana, has 1% proficiency, and allows him to counter an enemy's attack for greater damage. He notes that he acquired this skill faster than expected, finding it as useful as deflect. He lets out a sigh, muttering that he had checked everything he needed to, feeling the burden of his recent accomplishments and remaining duties. His fingers hover over a holographic keyboard, as he considers a specific issue, a question forming in his mind. A new screen appears, showing the Kang Tae-san's solo mode floor 1 boss clear method, and he remembers uploading the clear article to the community, though he doesn't have high expectations for it. He maintains a neutral expression for a moment, before a sudden thought crosses his mind, causing him to utter a surprised huh? A prompt appears before him, asking if he wishes to claim his level-up reward. Elsewhere, GM Jungian bows respectfully, apologizing for the delay in reporting the labyrinth status and offering to explain the situation. Liion, looking worried, confesses to having a bad feeling about him. GM Jungian, still surprised, inquires how his senior managed to reach level 15 so quickly, but his question is met with a polite refusal to share the information. The protagonist observes a holographic screen, which displays new information from the system. The system message states that Lee Sung-jae has reached the spring of life, thanking everyone for their support, and then warns Kang Dong-jun to be cautious to avoid dying on floor 1. In a dark, red-lit cavern, Join, the overseer of the labyrinth, stands alone, the environment reflecting a sense of foreboding. Meanwhile, Lee Sung-jae, a B-rank hunter, holds his injured leg in pain, suffering from a severe wound. He remembers a time when he was the only one who knew how to clear the dungeon, the only one capable of doing so, and explains to his senior that he paid a commission, not because he had to, but for his sake. A desperate thought crosses his mind. I don't want to die here, while the later, untold parts of his experience are too terrible to speak of. In the desolate depths, Joint's voice resonates, asking, anyone there? He walks away from the others, a system message appearing before him, stating that he is not referring to anyone else, but to himself. A new notification then appears, confirming that the flow has shifted, which causes him to hum thoughtfully. The air feels old and ominous, as he approaches a crumbling, dark structure, which seems to hold old secrets. Without hesitation, he steps into the glowing entrance, starting a new journey as he leaves the familiar world behind. Inside, a system message confirms his entry into the forgotten labyrinth and gives him an attack bonus, and with a determined nod, he says, all right, let's go. Later, while talking with Tybeek, the old merchant asks if he is enjoying himself, pointing out that they are both getting away from the real world. He responds with a confident smile, saying that thanks to Tybeek's help and his ability to level up, he can now do what he wants without relying on others. The old merchant nods knowingly, saying that he thinks he understands what the young man means. Then, changing the subject, he asks Tybeek, are you going to look for the blacksmith? The question remains unanswered, as the dark shape of a large, old structure appears, showing the identity of the one they are looking for, Harpain, the blacksmith of the labyrinth. He moves deeper into the labyrinth, the path ahead illuminated by an ethereal glow, reflecting on how much he owes to Liion for guiding him this far. The ruins, he muses, are far from peaceful, demanding constant vigilance as he presses onward. This particular section lies even further from the entrance, a place where the very air hums with latent power. A swirling pattern on the ground hints at the hidden depths, promising secrets and treasures for those brave enough to claim them. As he steps onto the next floor, a system notification flashes, signaling the start of a new quest. Kang Tae-sin pauses, taking in his surroundings, a sense of anticipation building within him. He observes the quest details, noting the promise of a mana increase potion and the tantalizing mention of secret rewards, wondering if increasing his potency is truly a good thing, yet eagerly anticipating the challenge. A moment of quiet contemplation passes, interrupted by a persistent system alert for an unchecked message. With a renewed sense of purpose, he declares his readiness, looking forward to whatever trials await him. The message notification continues to flash, a subtle but insistent reminder of something he has yet to address. Still, his focus remains on the immediate path, his excitement for the journey ahead overriding any distractions. A system message appeared, indicating that Kang Junheek had requested to speak with him privately, which felt like good timing. In the digital space, Junheek asked if he was okay, and Tae-san replied that he was fine. He then asked Junheek how he was doing, thinking that his junior wasn't someone who would be easily pushed to his limits in the labyrinth, and that his well-being meant more than just being okay in the community. While he trusted Junheek's skills, he was worried about his personality. He believed Junheek was the type to get into trouble if left alone, a statement Junheek confirmed with a small laugh. Junheek then shared his own view, saying that he didn't care if he got hurt, as long as he got what he wanted. Considering this, Tae-san thought about people who didn't care about their own bodies, a point Junheek repeated, and then Tae-san realized he was much the same. Junheek then said that Tae-san wasn't the only one who only cared about the things he wanted. However, the whisper came at just the right time, and Tae-san decided to go into solo mode, asking to be left alone as his surroundings shifted. Even if it wasn't what he expected, this conversation was exactly what he needed at that time. He also remembered thinking that Junheek could achieve anything he wanted, a sign of his junior's strong will. Junheek then suggested they go together if that was the case, leaving Tae-san to consider his words. He couldn't help but feel a familiar worry, knowing Junheek had always been the kind of person to sacrifice himself for others. The digital projection of Junheek then spoke, since I first met you, I've always wanted to help you reach your goals, and I am grateful for that opportunity. A memory, glowing with a red aura, showed Einzel, the overseer of the labyrinth, saying, I'm not sure if I can trust you, but I'll give you a chance. Don't disappoint me. The image of Einzel, the overseer, quickly crossed his mind, while Junheek's digital form replied with determination, I'll do my best. Tae-san, still thinking about Junheek's words, asked, "What are you doing? I know you feel guilty, but thank you for your help." Then, a thought struck him as Junheek's voice said, "We're technically going to co-op." His eyes grew wide with surprise as he realized the meaning of a partnership, and he thought, "I can't just accept anything without giving back." Junheek's digital form, looking calm, then asked the surprising question, "Why don't we go together? I want to be your partner." A soft smile appeared on Junheek's face, and he said with deep meaning, "We're all human. We're the same, aren't we?" The memory changed, showing both Junheek and Einsul standing together in a bright, glowing light, a sign of their past teamwork. Taesan's face became serious, as Einsul's earlier words came back to him. "I'm not sure if I can trust you, but I'll give you a chance. Don't disappoint me." His mind worked quickly, trying to understand the sudden offer. He wants to go with me? But I already decided to go solo. As he prepares for the next challenge, the voice of his younger brother, Junheek, resonates in his thoughts, expressing regret. "I'm sorry, Hyung. I'm not strong enough to help you yet." Yet, the holographic image of Junheek conveys a strong determination, vowing, "But I'll definitely become strong enough to help you." This strong belief, this complete dedication, strengthens his own resolve, creating an overall feeling of determination within him. However, a significant but remains an unspoken thought as he gets ready to face the challenges ahead. Falling into a bright, blue void, he drops through many glowing, phantom hands, each representing the challenges he will face. And still, Junheek's sincere request echoes, "So please, let me help you." Stepping out of the glowing portal into a barren, unfamiliar land, he moves ahead, leaving the entrance behind him. His boots make a squelching sound, sherbuck, as they sink into the muddy ground, marking his entry into solo mode floor 2. The large cave ahead of him shines with a strange, natural light, its walls seeming to pulse with hidden energy. With Junheek's encouraging words, "Let's go, Hyung," still in his thoughts, he moves further in, aware that they say floor 2 is where the real hunting begins. A quick, glowing blade cuts through the air with a loud kajik, stopping a monster's scream as he defeats a strange green creature. With a strong kick, a loud kung sound rings out, breaking the old door and showing the dark way forward. The second floor of the dungeon immediately presented new threats, as system messages announced the appearance of bow-wielding, sword-wielding, and shield-wielding goblins, their forms emerging from the green lightning that filled the space. Before he could react, a sword-wielding goblin attacked, its clawed hand striking him with force, knocking him to the ground. However, Kong Tae-san quickly recovered, drawing his bow with a determined expression, challenging the enemies with a firm, "All right, come." Poised and ready, he stood firm amidst the green energy, his weapon aimed, prepared to begin his counterattack. Deep within the labyrinth, a lone hunter faces down a group of goblins, confident in his ability to defeat them alone, a blue light emanating from his fist as he lands a blow. However, as more of the creatures appear from the darkness, he wonders if he can manage such a large number. He presses on with the fight, recognizing that while single goblins are simple to defeat, they pose a real challenge when they gather in groups. The situation quickly changes as the goblins surround him, their hits connecting with unexpected power, and a message appears, indicating his attacks are doing enough damage to goblin, and that the target is paralyzed. He stumbles under the continuous attack as the creature's claws strike him. Hit after hit connects, forcing him to retreat. A look of determination appears on his face as he considers, "You think that's how it is? But I disagree." With a quick burst of energy, a glowing blue shield forms around him, blocking a goblin's strike with a loud KRKK sound and pushing back the surrounding creatures. Following this, he launches a powerful counterattack, releasing a wave of red energy, which cuts through several goblins, causing 3 damage to each, and their bodies begin to fade. As the remaining creatures collapse, he stands firm, a resolved look on his face, speaking a quiet goodbye to the defeated enemies. Surrounded by a group of goblins, the hunter feels the immense pressure of their combined assault, their guttural cries filling the air. The continuous attack pushes him to his breaking point, yet a determined expression settles on his face, his violet eyes showing no sign of surrender. Despite being forced to the ground and encircled by the growling creatures, he maintains his resolve. The goblins prepare for a final strike, unaware of the dormant power awakening within their prey. He lets out a sound of effort, his violet eyes beginning to glow, as a wave of purple energy emanates from his hand. From the swirling energy, a luminous longsword appears in his hand, a weapon of pure light ready for battle. Surrounded by a bright yellow aura, he launches a fierce counterattack, his new blade slicing through the goblins with powerful strikes. He lets out a powerful cry, channeling his energy, the luminous sword shimmering with power as he prepares a decisive attack. A brilliant explosion of light and energy bursts from his sword, consuming the remaining goblins in a powerful blast. After the dust clears, only faint particles of light linger in the air, evidence of the powerful attack he just executed. His hand holds the hilt of his new weapon, the lightly gusted sword, identified as a grade C item. He continues his journey into the labyrinth, a place known for its countless monsters, but also for a singular, dominant presence. This hidden world of the labyrinth, a level 1 challenge requiring the defeat of all monsters for a reward of 1,000 gold, is not just a simple dungeon. It possesses many different personalities, some benevolent, some malevolent, and others who treat players as toys. Suddenly, a strange energy envelopes him, causing him to stop and notice a significant change in his environment, just as a system message appears. He looks up to see a large, glowing red altar, pulsing with dark energy, and a system message confirms his finding. You have discovered the Altar of Labyrinth. A first discovery bonus immediately awards him an additional 1,000 gold, but the more significant event is the ominous presence now revealing itself. Indeed, the gods of the labyrinth have many personalities, and one of them, a monstrous, shadowy figure surrounded by red energy, begins to appear. Some are kind, some are purely evil, and some are merely curious, but this particular entity, the overseer of the labyrinth, treats players as toys. With piercing red eyes and a sharp, unwavering gaze, Joint states, "The labyrinth is a place of conquest and death, I think." A chilling smile forms on his lips as he continues, "I am a god. Don't get any ideas. I'm just saying that I'm a god, not that I'm actually a god." Red particles swirl around him, highlighting his ethereal, yet powerful nature, as he repeats his paradoxical statement about being a god. Kong Taisen stares, bewildered, at the entity before him, the question forming in his thoughts, is that a god? A new system warning appears, announcing a quest from the labyrinth itself. You have come to be its king. Refusing the quest will result in death, while accepting it will lead to a trial, with the ultimate reward being the kingship of this dangerous realm. He stands firm, his resolve unwavering as he declares he is not a coward, willingly accepting the challenge. With a decisive gesture, the subquest begins, the labyrinth itself acknowledging his choice. Suddenly, a crimson energy erupts, swirling with an ominous power that fills the space. He watches as the vibrant, pulsating aura begins to coalesce, its raw magic crackling around him. The chaotic energy then flows, shaping itself into a formidable, glowing weapon in his grasp. A powerful, crimson greatsword materializes, radiating immense power. Wielding the newly formed blade, he stands ready, the air still thick with residual magic. But his moment of preparation is cut short as a towering, fully armored figure emerges, heralded as a servant of the labyrinth. This formidable guardian, radiating an intimidating aura, is revealed to be the labyrinth's test, demanding victory. Assessing his opponent, he notes the complete coverage of its armor, making any obvious opening difficult to discern. The sheer presence of the servant confirms its immense strength, a challenging foe indeed. With the stage set and the challenge clear, the confrontation between the determined hunter and the labyrinth's guardian is about to begin. He unleashes a powerful crimson strike, his greatsword cutting through the air with a burst of energy, but the system registers only 25 points of damage against his opponent. Before he can recover, the armored guardian quickly retaliates, pushing him backward with a strong counterattack. Another strong blow lands, the servant's glowing blade hitting with a hard impact that again takes 25 points from his health. A sigh of frustration escapes him, as he realizes that if every hit costs him this much, his trial will end quickly. Refusing to give up, he charges forward again, his greatsword swinging down with a blue glow, but the guardian easily blocks the attack. A quick look at his status confirms his current tools, a powerful greatsword and skill in swordsmanship, but they don't seem enough against this enemy. Their blades meet in a bright flash of steel and magic, a fast exchange of blows that sends shockwaves through the cavern. But the servant's raw power is clear, pushing him back with every hit, the ground cracking as he tries to stay standing. With a strong swing, the guardian sends him flying through the air, his body moving fast against the dark stone. He crashes hard onto the ground, the servant's large blade already coming down for a final hit. Gathering all his remaining strength, he barely manages to block the heavy impact, his crimson greatsword glowing brightly under the pressure. The pressure is huge, his arms shaking as he fights against the strong force, a desperate thought in his mind. It's not working. He looks at his opponent, understanding that it is much stronger than him. He cannot even touch it, as its defense is too high. Then, he attacks with a quick sword strike. But with a loud clang, the servant of Labyrinth blocks the attack with its armored arm. Before he can react, the servant delivers a strong, glowing punch, pushing him back with a whoosh. His body is tired, and his energy is low, he feels his battery is drained. Despite his attacks, the truth is clear. He has done 0 damage to the servant of Labyrinth. A moment of doubt comes to him, asking if this is the limit of his power. Still, he unleashes another attack of blue energy blades, but again, it is 0 damage to the servant of Labyrinth. But he cannot accept this defeat, feeling he has a reason to fight, and he cannot give up so easily. With new resolve, he strikes again, and this time, he feels the Labyrinth's guardian is a little surprised. His sword continues its attack, and he realizes it's easier than he thought. Even though it's only the second floor, he feels he is making progress, since it's the first time he has ever fought with his life on the line. The atmosphere grows heavy as Liion manifests its authority, causing the air to crackle with energy. Yet this display of power also means its overall range of influence will diminish, allowing the servant of Liion to fully regain its intelligence. A wave of surprise washes over him, a silent question forming in his thoughts. As the servant's core begins to pulse with a deeper, rumbling red light, its intensity mirrored in his own violet eyes, which now glow with a fierce resolve. The armored guardian stands before him, its sword now radiating a potent, destructive energy. And despite the system's formal declaration of the encounter with the servant of Labyrinth, his expression hardens, prepared for the renewed challenge. A look of grim determination crosses Kong Taesan's face, his gaze sharp and steady, as the large servant of the labyrinth, covered in heavy, glowing armor, gets ready for a fight. Its whole body glows with a threatening pinkish-purple energy, silently challenging anyone who comes near. And with a strong posture, the servant states its clear goal: it will not let anyone pass. But Taesan, with blue energy swirling around him, stays firm, his focus complete. Knowing that the real power of this enemy isn't just physical, but a challenge to his spirit. He understands that the strength of this opponent is not just about raw power, but a test of his inner resolve. With a sudden burst of speed, he moves closer, his glowing blade swinging towards the armored guardian. His thoughts filled with the understanding that this fight is much more than a small conflict. It's a battle of fates, a fight for his very life. His attack hits with great force, the impact causing bright energy to spread across the servant's body, ending in a bright burst of pink and purple light that covers the whole area, leaving the result of the intense fight uncertain. He unleashes a powerful, pink-hued energy blast, which impacts the armored construct with a bright flash. However, as the dust settles, the servant of the labyrinth shows little reaction, with only small damage numbers appearing around its body. He feels a wave of disbelief, realizing that the creature's mana is stronger than his own rank, making its resilience unexpected. At the same time, the servant, with glowing red eyes, recognizes the strong mana coming from its attacker. Undeterred, he puts more power into his sword, which now glows with a strong red light, ready for another attack. Another strong hit lands, causing more damage numbers to appear on the servant, but it still stands firm. As he continues his attack, his sword now glowing blue, he notices the servant's strange mana, which doesn't seem like a monster's. The servant, with burning red eyes, feels the true power of his attack, a strength it could not see but clearly sensed. A determined look crosses his face as he looks at his glowing sword, making a silent promise to learn this powerful ability. Despite the constant attacks, the servant remains strong, its red aura glowing, its thoughts showing that it's impossible to block such a high-level skill without being a very skilled hunter. Then, with a sudden burst of power, the servant's eyes glow with a bright blue light, and a blue aura starts to form around its body, showing it's about to use a new ability. The blue energy grows stronger, forming a bright, protective shield, making it clear that the fight is not yet finished. Kong Taesan's expression tightens with determination, a clear desire to learn etched across his face. The servant of the labyrinth, however, shows no mercy, thrusting a sword enveloped in orange energy, and declaring, "You are better than this sword, man, you'll regret it." Kong Taesan remains composed, facing the attack directly, and states, "But I am a player." The servant's sword, glowing with orange light, descends rapidly. Before the blade can land, Kong Taesan's arm glows with bright blue energy, deflecting the attack with a surge of power. A bright flash of blue and orange energy marks the impact, as the servant's attack is repelled. The servant is forced back, sliding across the ground and leaving a trail, a sound of annoyance escaping him. Kong Taesan lets out a confident sound, his gaze sharp and focused. He charges, enveloped in blue energy, striking the servant and inflicting damage. The blow sends the servant stumbling backward, his armor visibly affected by the powerful strike. Energy ripples outward from the point of impact, showing the strength of the attack. The servant looks on in disbelief, his surprise evident as he begins to speak. "This no." As the servant lunges, Taesan's instincts activate a skill called Reflect, causing blue energy to flare around his hands, preparing to counter the next attack. However, the servant's blade still connects, dealing 15 points of damage to him, which causes the armored figure to exclaim in surprise. Unfazed by the impact, Taesan immediately activates Unyielding Attack, his body glowing with a blue aura as he prepares a powerful counterstrike. The servant's subsequent strike connects, but due to Reflect, it deals no damage to the servant, though Taesan still sustains 10 points of damage himself. Following this, Taesan's reflected attack strikes the servant, but it too deals 0 damage, resulting in a momentary stalemate. Determined to end the prolonged fight, Taesan charges forward, enveloped in a fiery aura, declaring that he will not allow the servant to get away. His unyielding attack then connects with explosive force, dealing a substantial 15 points of damage to the servant, concluding this phase of the battle. After the attack, Taesan checks his status, noting that his mana is nearly depleted and his health is critically low. Given his dwindling resources, he concludes that prolonging the fight would be disadvantageous and seeks a quick resolution. Meanwhile, the servant, visibly damaged and frustrated, states that the fight is no longer enjoyable. With a decisive movement, the servant raises its sword, preparing for another strike. The blade descends with great speed, moving directly towards Taesan, indicating an imminent impact. The servant's final attack strikes Kang Tae-san, a powerful surge of blue energy impacting him directly. The force of the impact pushes him backward as the attack continues its relentless pressure. He is completely engulfed in the explosive blue energy, the attack appearing to reach its peak. Yet, a determined light shines in his eyes, as a message confirms the attack dealt no damage. He clenches his fist, understanding that he had activated Endure, which negated the attack that would have killed him. For 1 second, all damage taken would be 0. With renewed determination, a red aura flares around him, as he prepares to launch his own powerful counterattack. He strikes swiftly, his attack breaking through the servant's defenses and its blue energy. A powerful roar erupts from him, as he channels his full strength into the assault. The red energy engulfs the servant, its armored body beginning to crack and break apart. With a final, explosive burst, he completely shatters the servant, leaving only scattered fragments. The servant of the labyrinth is defeated, its remnants scattering into glowing particles. A ragged breath escapes Kang Tae-san, his body still reeling from the intense battle, yet a triumphant grin begins to spread across his face. The system confirms his hard-won victory, declaring it an excellent fight against the servant of the labyrinth, a formidable foe now utterly vanquished. With a resounding sound, the system further congratulates him, announcing his decisive triumph over the labyrinth's guardian. As the last vestiges of the servant dissipate, the labyrinth itself acknowledges his feat, expressing its profound satisfaction. A system message flashes, confirming his satisfaction gained, prompting him to wonder aloud how he could possibly be considered a cheater after such a grueling fight. The system then delivers a cascade of rewards, a massive influx of experience, a level up, and a full recovery to peak condition, leaving him momentarily stunned by the sheer generosity of the labyrinth's offerings. He muses on the implications of his newfound strength, realizing that the labyrinth's trials are far more complex than simple monster hunting, hinting at a deeper, more intricate game at play. Curiosity piqued, he wonders if there's any more loot to be had, as the system confirms he has passed labyrinth test, granting him a hidden reward. The labyrinth, immensely satisfied by his performance, bestows additional rewards, urging him to stop messing around and leveling up, a playful jab that makes him question the labyrinth's true nature as his recovered skills are highlighted, along with his ceremonial reward of labyrinth of rank A. The labyrinth announces a reward for all who have conquered this trial, which surprises Kang Tae-san, as he hadn't requested healing, though he finds the unexpected recovery to be beneficial. Another message appears, stating he has passed an empowered test and will receive an additional reward, prompting him to question if this is a reward for the difficulties he faced. A glowing scroll appears as the system confirms he has obtained the ceremonial reward of labyrinth at rank A, and his skills are strengthened, along with the acquisition of a hidden reward. He considers the situation, pondering what else might be offered and if these rewards are a type of enhancement. In the dark, cavernous space, a faint light draws his attention, and he senses that his trials are not yet complete. A pensive look crosses his features, as he considers the meaning of the labyrinth's gifts. Finally, the labyrinth offers him an apostle contract, giving him the option to accept or decline this significant proposal. As the system interface appears before him, Kang Tae-san is faced with a puzzling choice, a straightforward question displayed on the screen. He considers the meaning, a quiet leaving him as he reads the serious question. Accept the divinity of a god? The system explains the exchange. Accepting would reduce his area of effect, a condition he accepts with a firm, that's fine. However, a more serious worry arises as the interface confirms labyrinth range of influence shrinks, causing him to wonder, He recognizes the disadvantage, saying, I don't like it. It means I'll get more penalties, before a deeper understanding stops his thought with a clear but. The real importance of the decision becomes clear to him, a dark, demonic shape with glowing red eyes appearing behind him as he seriously states, even if it does, it's still good. The other is a god. The ghostly figure grows larger, its purple energy glowing, as he understands the complete danger. It already received the divinity of a god. All actions in the labyrinth will be counted as his. A vision of a large, threatening tower, the labyrinth itself, shows itself to him, and the frightening thought becomes clear in his mind. I might be used as the god's toy or slave for the rest of eternity. The seriousness of becoming a simple toy or slave for the rest of eternity affects him deeply, his face showing strong determination. With strong belief, his hand moves towards the glowing screen, choosing the decline option, a clear, I won't accept showing his inner strength. After declining the offer of divinity, the system confirms that the apostle contract has been revoked, prompting Kang Tae-san to quietly question if his decision had caused offense. A new notification then appears, glowing with a bright orange light, indicating a new event. The message details a subquest, a bonus challenge from the labyrinth, acknowledging his previous success and instructing him to defeat all enemies on floor 3 and return safely, with a reward to be determined by his performance. However, he immediately declines, stating he cannot accept the subquest when he is not even officially recognized as a hunter. His rejection is confirmed, and he pauses in thought. A new message from the system appears, implying he might not need this particular subquest, but reiterating that rewards are based on performance. With a resolute look, he accepts the subquest, and the system repeats the instructions to clear floor 3 and return. The labyrinth then expresses its pleasure, with a pink glow indicating its approval of his choice. Moving past the system interface, a path unfolds, leading through a barren, misty environment. He soon reaches a rustic shop, where the merchant Tybeek, taken aback by his quick arrival, asks, "What are you doing here already?" To which the hunter replies that he has something to purchase. The elderly merchant, with his white hair and beard, observes him closely, his expression thoughtful. The merchant, acknowledging his skill but questioning his drive, comments, "You're surprisingly good, but why are you so greedy?" While the hunter appears to be considering something. Standing before the merchant, Tae-san holds a glowing orb, which immediately captures the old man's attention. The orb emits a soft, ethereal glow, and he realizes it is the apostle contract he had previously declined. The merchant's gaze sharpens as he looks at the item, commenting on the unusual nature of the object brought into his store. Tae-san, surprised, asks how the merchant could know about the contract. The merchant waves his hand dismissively, stating that such an item cannot be easily concealed from him. Tae-san's expression shows a hint of suspicion as he ponders the merchant's words, questioning the extent of his knowledge. The merchant quickly changes the subject, looking away as he asks what Tae-san plans to do with the contract. He turns his attention to a pot, stirring its contents with a ladle, implying that some things are not to be discussed. With a sigh, the merchant states that he cannot answer, as he is merely a shopkeeper. Tae-san, however, persists, believing the merchant knows more than he admits. The merchant looks at his shelves, then finally admits that he knows what the contract is. He then questions Tae-san, asking why he hasn't accepted the contract yet. He pressed the merchant, asking if he truly understood the orb's significance, his voice showing urgency. Tybeek simply replied, "As if I would tell you everything you need to know." Then, with a dismissive wave, the merchant stated he would see him on the next floor, leaving Tae-san to think about the unclear conversation, a hint of frustration on his face. Unwilling to let it go, Tae-san asked again if the orb was truly the apostle contract, and if Tybeek knew its real nature. The merchant replied with a knowing smile, "What if I do?" As his companions watched, Tae-san asked why Tybeek was so interested in his decision, feeling that something more was happening. The merchant, with a glint in his eye, revealed that he knew Tae-san's greed and the true power of the contract, suggesting a future far greater than what the young hunter understood. A wave of unease came over Tae-san, his brow furrowed in confusion and a hint of fear, as the merchant's words felt unsettlingly true. Tybeek then challenged him, asking why he had not accepted the contract yet, a question that remained unanswered. Meanwhile, from a shadowy realm, Join observed the scene, her glowing red eyes fixed on Tae-san. She thought about his potential and the path he had chosen, wondering if he could truly stop her plans. Her voice echoed with a sinister delight, as she looked forward to the chaos he might cause, seeing him as a pawn in a larger plan. Back in the labyrinth, Tae-san remained silent, the weight of Tybeek's question heavy on him, his companions watching, also confused by the merchant's mysterious words. He stands before Tybeek, who questions his sincerity, remarking that he claims to have no greed, yet still hesitates to accept the apostle contract. Holding Jungian, he dismisses the idea that the child could understand such complex matters, as the boy looks up, puzzled by the conversation. Nearby, Liion expresses her confidence that everything will go well, hoping to increase her rank before they return home. However, a subtle reminder warns him not to forget the others, as a hand reaches into a glowing blue energy field, surrounded by dark, grasping tendrils. Liion emphasizes their need for the contract to return home, but then expresses her concern that taking it might not be a good idea. Despite her concerns, Tae-san's resolve is firm, as he states his intention to take the contract. A monstrous figure appears in the background as Lion's voice wavers, warning him that taking the contract will turn him into a monster. Unfazed, a blue aura glows around his hand as he calmly reiterates his decision, his expression resolute. Witnessing his determination, Lion's expression softens, telling him that his transformation won't matter, as long as he stays with them. His hand glows with an intense blue light, energy particles swirling around it as he makes his choice. Having made his decision, he states his intention to pursue everything he ever wanted, a new path now open to him. As he looks at the system interface, it confirms his acceptance of the apostle contract, granting him the skills Apostle's Authority, Labyrinth's Blessing, and Labyrinth's Protection, thus making him an apostle of the labyrinth. The will of the labyrinth, previously a subtle influence, had now been fully embraced, its power flowing through him. With a loud impact, a red, clawed hand bursts through the air, marking a forceful arrival into a new place. Falling rapidly with great force, he drops, surrounded by a strong red glow that sparks with energy. His landing makes the ground tremble, the red energy still glowing around him as he sets foot. Without pausing, he rushes ahead, a fast streak of red light, moving quickly through the thick plants. Suddenly, loud cries fill the air, as he is encircled by many strange, green monsters, their eyes shining with evil purpose. With a firm look in his violet eyes, he lifts a hand, which starts to glow with the same bright red energy, preparing to use his new strength. As he gets ready to attack, a message appears, showing that proof of combat has been activated with a burst of red light. Delivering a powerful hit, he strikes the monsters, the red energy bursting as it connects, throwing the creatures backward. His actions are harsh and effective, as he stomps one of the creatures under his heavy boot. The fight is quick and clear, as he defeats another enemy with one last powerful hit. Even though the fight is done and his mind is clear, a great tiredness comes over him, the mental effort of his new powers showing on his face. He finds himself confronting a monstrous green creature, but a system notification confirms there are no combat restrictions in this area, allowing him to fight freely. A system message appears, informing him that he can now utilize a mana skill, a development he acknowledges with a slight sound. He unleashes a powerful attack, striking the monster with a resounding quang, causing it to glow intensely from the impact. The creature lets out a pained kick as it collapses, utterly defeated by his assault. Standing over the vanquished foe, he surveys his surroundings with a curious hum, taking in the unfamiliar environment. His gaze falls upon an ancient stone door, prompting him to wonder if similar structures were present within the labyrinth he had just left. He moves closer to the door, his steps soft against the ground. Discovering a glowing monument, he questions its nature, only for a system notification to declare it the warrior's grave. Kong Tae-san stands before a mysterious monument, a system notification appearing before him, announcing the discovery of a warrior's grave. He looks at the ancient stone, a single word escaping his lips, this. His hand reaches out, touching the weathered surface of the monument, where vines cling to its sides. A soft rustling sound is heard as ethereal particles begin to swirl around the grave, suggesting something is stirring within. With a sudden crash, the monument erupts in a brilliant golden aura, illuminating the surrounding area. From the light, a small, white, cat-like creature with red eyes and a red bow appears, greeting him with an enthusiastic, "Hello, adventurer." He is left stunned by the sudden appearance and greeting, his eyes wide with disbelief. The creature, now perched atop the glowing grave, continues its address, "You. And guess who?" His mind is filled with confusion, as indicated by the question marks swirling around his head. As he cautiously extends a hand, the creature proudly declares, "Yes, adventurer, it was me who called you." The small creature sits triumphantly on the softly glowing monument, its mission seemingly accomplished. The small, cat-like being, glowing with a soft green light, simply reiterates, "I told you to come." Its green glow briefly shifts to an alarmed red as it senses the hunter's rising irritation, even as it repeats its earlier statement. A wave of raw, crimson energy pulses from him, his voice cutting through the air with an undeniable command, "Stop hedging. What exactly are the quests?" He seizes the small creature, his grip firm, its tiny form dwarfed by his hand as he stares it down, demanding answers. The creature, now glowing green again, looks up at him as he presses, "What do you know about a quest?" It responds with a dismissive wave of its paw. "You know, everyone's asking me the same thing. It's basic information." Then, with an annoyed huff, the small being declares, "But there are no quests." Kong Tae-san's crimson aura intensifies as he internally questions the creature's nature, noting its aura is unlike any NPC he's encountered before. As his hand reaches out, the creature recoils, its green glow flickering with fear, sensing his growing impatience. Suddenly, the small being snaps, its voice sharp with indignation, "Shut up. Do you really see me as an object?" With a resigned sigh, the creature's green glow softens as it finally concedes, Fine." The small, cat-like creature, its pink cheeks puffed out, begins its explanation, admitting it is a short-sighted being, trapped here to give out quests. Kong Tae-san, his expression unreadable, questions why it would then claim there are no quests. The creature, surrounded by floating, glowing particles, clarifies that it meant there are no quests for him, as he has already cleared the test. He silently processes this, wondering if it's referring to the test of the pickle guy it mentioned earlier. With a sudden burst of energy, the creature declares, "All right, goodbye," as it begins to fade away, leaving Kong Tae-san stunned. He quickly reaches for his weapon, a red glow emanating from his hand. "Wait a second. My weapon," he exclaims, a red aura flaring around him, but the creature is already gone. From a distance, the fading creature's voice echoes, confirming that he cleared the test, specifically, that pickle guy's test. Kong Tae-san, his face contorted in frustration, clenches his fist, muttering about his changed mind and the creature's abrupt departure. He wonders if the creature was simply trying to escape, or if it genuinely believed he had cleared some test. Meanwhile, in a different time or place, a legend speaks of a man who was once the overseer of the labyrinth, a man who had been trapped there for 1,000 years. This man, Tybeek, walks through an ethereal landscape, his red cloak flowing behind him, a figure of ancient power and mystery. He was once called a god, a ruler destined for greatness, but that era had passed. The small, cat-like creature identifies this ancient figure, calling him Tybeek, the king of the labyrinth. Its glowing red eyes narrow, remembering that Tybeek used to call it my slave. Tybeek's eyes glow with fierce determination, as he promises to get revenge on the one who sealed him in the maze for 1,000 years and took his power. The labyrinth pulses with a dark, old energy, reflecting the long-held anger of its former overseer. Meanwhile, Kong Taesan stands before the cat-like creature, still confused by its earlier statement that he had no quest. But then, a system window appears, showing a mandatory quest, with a clear goal. He must defeat the boss on floor 60. His eyes widen in surprise, as he asks, "Huh? It's still there?" The creature explains that the quest seems to be part of a bigger story, a chain quest, that will continue as he moves forward. Without hesitation, Taesan accepts the challenge, his feet already moving forward with a determined step. The cat-like creature pauses, its expression unreadable, then asks if he is really coming with it. With a confident smile, Kong Taesan confirms his decision, saying, "Of course. Let's go." The creature, still unsure, decides to go with him, muttering, "I don't know if you'll do it right, so I'll go with you." He finds himself struggling to accept the reality of his situation, a life he never imagined for himself, letting out a soft sound of resignation. However, to progress and grow stronger, he understands he must take the initial step to discover the method of advancement. But not just any skill would suffice. The cat-like creature believes a particular ability is necessary to restore his former strength. The unexpected chain quest, initiated by an unusual weapon, has pushed him into a hunter's role he wishes to escape. He continues his journey, burdened by the creature's insistence that he must take responsibility for accepting the quest, making him question if he should have ever taken it on. He considers the possibility of simply not completing the quest, but the cat-like creature warns him that such a choice would lead to his demise. The cat-like entity further explains that his own survival and the recovery of his power are also dependent on the quest's completion, asking if he truly desires their shared demise. A memory surfaces of a past life, where a regal figure on a throne reflects on a slave who failed to fulfill his assigned duty, and others who were equally disappointing. He recalls his past self, asserting his inherent right to rule, born and chosen to be a king, a role he performed with excellence. However, all those who responded to his summons, the younger individuals who sought his guidance, ultimately proved ineffective and disappointing. The cat-like creature expresses a longing for his past glory, leading his companion to suggest that he should undertake the task himself. But the creature's response reveals a critical limitation. He cannot act directly, implying his power is sealed or restricted. He looks down at the small, pink-haired creature, asking if it is truly acceptable to rest in such a location, while Tybeek, the creature, reassures him that it is, pressing him to complete the quest quickly. Meanwhile, the ancient king's thoughts turn to a distant past, remembering how he once governed the entire world, only to discover his followers were ineffective, a realization that continues to drive his present urgency. Back in the present, as he opens a sturdy dungeon door, the hunter speaks to himself with a hint of irritation. "Hey, you are not paying attention to me, are you?" The moment he passes through, a group of green-skinned goblins attacks from the shadows, their simple weapons striking as he prepares for the assault. He swiftly raises his arm, blocking a strong attack, the impact creating a loud sound. Without hesitation, he releases a bright blue-white energy, hitting several goblins simultaneously and causing them to stumble. Amidst the disorder, he maintains his position, his eyes focused, prepared for the next group of enemies. Another goblin attacks, its weapon targeting his head, but he quickly blocks the blow with his forearm. The power of the impact causes sparks to fly, a metallic sound resonating through the cave as he stands firm. He responds with a precise, glowing attack, delivering a significant hit that causes the goblin to recoil, its life force visibly decreasing. With smooth movement, he maintains his continuous attack, his glowing strikes cutting through the remaining goblins, each hit demonstrating his ability. Just as he believes the area is clear, a new voice growls from the shadows, announcing another group of enemies. The dungeon reverberates with the sounds of combat as Kong Taesan, moving with speed and emitting a soft glow, continues to engage the goblins, striking them down with efficiency. Meanwhile, Tybeek observes the situation, expressing his disapproval of the hunter's actions. "Hey, what are you doing?" he asks. "Shooting a fairy-like creature. You're just repeating your past." Kong Taesan turns to him, justifying his actions. "I'm only targeting the hostile creatures, so why are you so opposed to it?" He then speaks to the small, glowing creature, asking, "Are you trying to acquire a skill?" The creature, taken aback, replies, "You know." The fairy-like creature, however, drifts away, stating, "Knowing how dangerous skills can be, I'm sorry, but what you're doing is useless. You will have to obtain a skill by yourself." Kong Taesan remains resolute, his expression firm, as he declares, "I will, and a powerful one, too." Tybeek, annoyed by their conversation, expresses his irritation. "You two are always messing around. I don't understand." Disregarding Tybeek, Kong Taesan quickly catches the creature and states, "If I cannot consume it, then you will be my puppet." The creature, now in his grasp, reminds him, "You told me to eat it first when we entered the dungeon." It then adds a condition. "However, if I assist you, I require you to gather all the necessary materials for the skill without deception." Unexpectedly, the creature's attitude changes, bowing respectfully and stating, "Oh, you are a beast who knows how to cook. I shall become your servant, my master." However, its declaration is immediately rescinded, as it indignantly corrects itself. "I am not a beast. I am a fairy. A fairy." You are a beast. You are a beast. You are a beast. Kang Tae-san, seemingly unbothered by the creature's outburst, simply agrees. All right, I will rely on your abilities. A mischievous, white blob-like creature, its red scarf fluttering, lets out a triumphant cackle, its form radiating pure glee. While Kang Tae-san, on all fours and looking up at the floating entity, responds with a resigned sigh, acknowledging its presence with a simple, yes, master. The creature, still floating amidst musical notes, seems to pout, questioning why it is the only one allowed to have fun and show off. Rising to his feet, Kang Tae-san gazes at the playful entity, a knowing weariness in his expression as he admits he should have anticipated its involvement. The white blob, now facing a group of hunters including Jiam Jungian, Lee Chang-chun, and Liion, offers a sheepish apology, confessing its boredom to its master. Kang Tae-san, alone once more, looks down in disbelief, struggling to comprehend that the creature was truly responsible for the chaos. A system notification flashes into existence, confirming the defeat of a goblin archer and the acquisition of 100 gold, along with its bow. A satisfied grin spreads across Kang Tae-san's face as he holds up a glowing orb, uttering a triumphant bingo at his success. The white blob creature, surrounded by swirling green particles, looks on in utter surprise, its simple expression conveying a bewildered huh. The air around them shimmers with vibrant green energy, signaling a powerful activation. As purple rectangular blocks materialize and swirl, the skill Cracked Battle is unleashed. A system notification confirms the acquisition of a new skill, Cracked Battle, a conditional active ability that temporarily increases proficiency and damage, while also granting immunity to damage for a short period. Kang Tae-san gazes at the glowing window, a sense of quiet accomplishment washing over him as he realizes he has finally obtained it. The white blob creature, its form shimmering with curiosity, watches the blue energy crackling around Tae-san's hand, remarking that this power feels quite different from anything it has seen previously. The bright blue aura intensifies around his hand, causing the blob to flinch slightly, its small, black eyes widening in surprise at the energy coming from him. Tae-san looks at the creature, inquiring if it now recalls the Cracked Battle skill. The blob's expression changes from surprise to frustration, a single, annoyed word escaping it. Regaining its composure, the creature suggests a deal, causing Tae-san to ask what kind of arrangement it is proposing. The blob, however, dismisses his question, stating that he only needs to answer its questions truthfully. Tae-san ponders the creature's words, a thoughtful look on his face as he considers the situation. Turning away, Tae-san starts to walk, leaving the frustrated blob to mutter to itself, its small body following behind him. As he keeps walking, the blob continues, admitting Cracked Battle is a good skill, but then wondering how many players are truly capable of using it. The creature's voice fades, a final, insightful comment lingering, as it deduces that Tae-san himself had never fully learned the skill. As Kang Tae-san walks through the dungeon, the small white blob creature floats behind him, asking if he understands the true meaning of the skill he just acquired. Ignoring his lack of response, the creature continues, "But why should you know? A secret is a secret." The hunter remains calm, looking straight ahead, choosing not to respond to the creature's questions, his face showing firm determination. Then, a strong feeling of foresight comes over him, appearing as a bright golden light around him, a new power showing itself with a bright glow. The white blob creature is surprised by this new event, letting out a sound of confusion as the hunter looks down at it. It quickly regains its composure, thinking about how useful premonitions can be. The best premonitions, when they're strongest, they can be a key strategy. Then, as if struck by an idea, it says, "I just got a hunch." As Tae-san keeps walking, the creature's voice grows louder in surprise. "What? You also had detection? And with such high proficiency?" The hunter just keeps moving through the old, broken hallways, staying focused despite the creature's loud remarks. The white blob, now floating in front of him, explains, "I'm not certain about the skill level, but I did have the detection ability." As Tae-san keeps moving, the creature gives him advice on strategy, saying, "First, you should level up arrow rain. Second, you should level up trap." The white blob creature floats ahead, its voice echoing through the empty corridor, stating, "Finally, it's the team with no one else." Kang Tae-san sprints forward through the corridor, the creature confirming its previous statement. "It's the same as I said." A sudden surge of blue energy envelopes him, causing him to react with a surprised sound. He launches himself into the air, a red aura flaring around him as he prepares to attack. Landing deftly on a platform, he gazes down into the dark chasm. Without hesitation, he plunges into the dark chasm, a faint blue glow trailing behind him. His expression remains resolute, even as the blue energy intensifies around him during the fall. The white blob creature calls out, watching him fall, "Tae-san." He accelerates through the dark shaft, a blur of motion. His eyes narrow with fierce determination, ready for whatever awaits him at the bottom. Then, with a powerful impact, his glowing fist connects, breaking the silence with a sound like "Pak." Kang Tae-san, having fallen into the chasm, delivers a powerful punch, his body surrounded by a blue aura, as he proclaims his intent to claim everything. After the strike, he remains standing, a blue energy still visible around him. Meanwhile, his small white companion uses a pair of scissors to cut something with a quiet snip, snip sound. Kong Tae-san then finds a glowing orb, realizing it is a skill orb as he holds it. Holding the orb, he tells his companion, "Let's get moving." Later, the blob finds a spring grass, which is noted as a rare ingredient. Curious about his companion, he asks, "Let me ask you something. What are you?" "Hey." The blob communicates its answer, explaining, "Because I'm a slime, I can't talk." Upon understanding, he says, "I see. So you're a slime. Then I'll call you Slimy." Checking his status, he notes, "I've been here for about 10 days. I should probably get going." Elsewhere, a man and a woman look at a screen, both surprised and saying, "It's a skill orb." They both repeat the phrase, "It's a skill orb. It's a skill orb," in their excitement. Before a glowing digital interface, Kong Tae-san remarks that it is time, but his attention is quickly drawn to a sudden notification on his screen, prompting an exclamation of surprise and frustration. He continues to walk through a shimmering, grid-like environment, a low, indistinct murmuring sound accompanying his steps as he navigates the digital space. In a different location, two other hunters, one with blue hair and the other with purple, discover a glowing orb, their exclamations of "What's this? Is this a skill orb? It's a skill orb," echoing with surprise and recognition. Returning to the protagonist, his companion, Slimy, appears to share his focus as they both observe a screen displaying the glowing orb, a mutual understanding forming between them. "It's a skill orb." His expression shifts to one of triumph as he exclaims, "I found it. I found it." A clear sense of accomplishment in his voice. The digital environment around them seems to react to his joy as he and Slimy acknowledge their successful discovery, the glowing orb now clearly visible. Liion joins him, her gaze fixed on the glowing orb, while he continues to voice his enthusiasm. "I found it. I found it." Her violet eyes reflect the orb's light, a silent contemplation in her expression as he, still visibly pleased, gestures towards the display, sharing his success. A narration box clarifies that Kong Tae-san's notable height is attributed to the muscle planet skill, which he obtained from a skill orb, indicating a significant physical transformation. Liion listens attentively as he elaborates on his discovery, the glowing orb remaining the focus of their discussion. Her expression remains contemplative, perhaps considering the implications of such a skill, as he gestures with emphasis, conveying his pride in the accomplishment. Their discussion progresses, with the glowing orb still central to their attention, and Liion eventually offers a subtle, understanding smile, recognizing the importance of his discovery. Still processing his recent discovery, Kong Tae-san stands before a shimmering blue interface, his companions observing as he announces his breakthrough, admitting the loss of his previous abilities but celebrating the acquisition of a new skill. With a confident expression, he crosses his arms, the blue glow of the interface surrounding him, projecting an air of self-assurance. Turning to his companions, he announces his intention to teach them the easiest skill to acquire, specifically mentioning reduce pain. Raising his right hand, which now glows with a vibrant blue energy, he issues a challenge, stating he will demonstrate how he acquired all his current abilities. Kong Tae-san stands alone, a thoughtful expression on his face. He considers their current situation, questioning if it is due to bad luck or a problem with their strategy. The rest of the group faces him, their expressions showing a mix of frustration and concern. Jungian attempts to explain something, but his words do not seem to be heard. He ignores their requests, his focus unwavering as he stares intently at a holographic map projected from his device, intent on doing what he believes is right. Behind the group, a large, brown-furred beast with glowing red eyes appears, its presence unnoticed by the preoccupied hunters. He turns his gaze directly forward, a slight smirk on his lips as he acknowledges the central point of their disagreement. The others continue their efforts to reason with him, their voices blending into a chorus of unheard concerns. The monstrous bear-like creature behind them emits a low growl, its fangs bared, yet it remains unnoticed by the engrossed group. Jungian, Chun, and Liion exchange worried glances, their frustration growing as their leader remains unresponsive. The beast suddenly lunges forward, its large paw raised to strike, causing the group to turn, their faces twisted in shock and fear. With his back to the viewer, Tae-san watches the chaos unfold, his posture remaining calm despite the sudden, life-threatening danger. He turns back to face the viewer, his expression still composed, reiterating his earlier point with a knowing look. The perspective shifts to a casual restaurant, where a group of friends is engaged in conversation. One of them expresses frustration over the difficulty of a game. Another friend, eating fried chicken, comments that the game's difficulty is its main appeal, a point reinforced by a third person who believes the challenge is what makes it engaging. Still frustrated, the first friend then states that if death within the game were permanent, no one would participate. The scene abruptly changes to a digital environment, where Kong Tae-san stands by himself, contemplating the system's penalty for death. Liion joins him, her expression serious, and confirms that the system's penalty is death, emphasizing the gravity of their situation. He then asks about the nature of this death, inquiring if it is a permanent end or a temporary state within the system. Liion clarifies, her voice firm, that it signifies a game over state, a final end without revival. His face shows a flicker of concern as he processes the finality of her statement, understanding the implications of true death. They stand in silence for a moment, the digital environment around them emphasizing the seriousness of their discussion. He then asks about the system itself, questioning if it is merely a game or something more significant and perilous. Liion responds with a knowing look, explaining that it is a game, in name only, concealing a much harsher reality. She elaborates, her voice serious, that it is a game where life and death are the stakes, a brutal test of survival. He finds himself immersed in a holographic interface, as the system announces his entry into the labyrinth of dimensions, a place he has now joined. A flash of light and a sharp, resonant sound confirm the system's processing, as a new notification appears before him, revealing a unique and unlosable skill, dimensional shift, a power that allows him to move between dimensions, and the system asks if he wishes to acquire it. He considers the offer, a determined look in his eye, knowing that no matter the benefits or risks, he will be the one to survive. Before him, a grand, glowing doorway beckons, a portal to the unknown. With a resolute stride, he approaches the shimmering entrance, declaring his intent to claim the reward that awaits. He reassures Liion about the dimensional shift, dismissing her concerns, confident in his ability to master the new skill. Then, with a sudden burst of energy, he activates the dimensional shift, his form dissolving into a cascade of glowing particles. He reappears, a subtle smirk playing on his lips, having successfully traversed the dimensional barrier. The system immediately announces a new threat, a staff-wielding goblin appearing in his path. The creature, green-skinned and menacing, grips its staff tightly, ready for confrontation. And as if one wasn't enough, the system then reveals another foe, a pulsating slime monster emerging from the shadows. Kong Tae-san found himself in a new dimension, immediately confronted by a large, green, goblin-like monster wielding a staff and a nearby slime creature. Their sudden appearance created a sense of immediate danger. Without delay, the green monster attacked, its staff glowing with green energy as it moved with surprising speed. The swift attack caught him off guard, leaving him with a moment of surprise as the monster's weapon drew near. However, his eyes suddenly glowed purple, and a strong purple energy enveloped both him and his sword, signaling a powerful counterattack. A massive burst of purple energy then erupted from him, even as he wondered if he had used his power too soon. Meanwhile, in a different location, a mysterious figure in a dark cloak observed, their green eyes glowing with a subtle, unsettling light, surrounded by a dark purple energy. Back in his own dimension, Kong Tae-san felt a pang of regret, thinking about the limited use of his skill. I'm only able to use my skill once a day. I can't afford to waste it, he mused. Did I use it too early? Then, a strong determination filled him, his eyes glowing with renewed purple energy as he affirmed, but for me, now is the time. Now is just right. His resolve translated into action, and the green monster was engulfed and destroyed by the powerful purple energy, letting out a final cry of pain. Amidst the fading energy, Kong Tae-san stood calmly, a strong purple aura still surrounding him, showing the success of his powerful skill. A slight, content smile appeared on his face, his eyes closed in quiet triumph as the energy slowly disappeared. The purple energy completely vanished, leaving him standing alone in the now clear space, the immediate danger gone. A violet glow emanates from Kong Tae-san's eye, his expression a mix of confusion and dread as he questions the nature of his surroundings. He stands amidst a landscape of bones and skulls, a red glow casting shadows behind him, hinting at the horrors he has endured. Suddenly, a monstrous creature with sharp claws and teeth appears, its presence accompanied by whispers of betrayal. Because you trusted me, and he died because of you. The accusations echo in his mind, his face contorted in anguish as the words, "It's all your fault, and because of you," assault his consciousness. A faint purple aura begins to shimmer around him, his violet eyes glowing with determination as a desperate plea escapes his lips, if only. The monstrous entity lunges with speed, its attack fueled by the phantom voices that accuse him. Why did you leave me behind? And you're the only one I trusted? As he whispers, I'm sorry. But before its claws can connect, Kong Tae-san unleashes a burst of purple energy, pushing the creature back with force, his glowing violet eyes burning with power. As the monster recoils, a shadowy figure with glowing blue eyes emerges from the darkness, its voice a mournful echo calling out, Tae-san. And why didn't you come for me? His face twists in shock and pain, his violet eye wide as the shadowy figure reaches out, repeating the agonizing question, why did you leave me behind? Then, a familiar face appears within the vision, Liion, her long dark hair flowing, violet eyes glowing with a faint blue aura as she reaches out to him. The vision intensifies, a swirling void filled with countless shadowy figures, all reaching, all accusing, their glowing blue eyes fixed on him, pulling him deeper into his torment. Snapping back to reality, Kong Tae-san stands in the cavern, his expression grim as he surveys the mangled remains of the monster, the echoes of his internal battle still within him. From the depths, a viscous purple liquid gurgles and pops, red particles erupting from its surface, a truly unsettling sight. He struggles, a desperate gulp escaping his throat, his face contorted in shock as the overwhelming vision threatens to consume him. But then, a fierce resolve ignites within him, his eyes blazing crimson as he defiantly declares his refusal to yield. With a sharp tsk, a powerful purple aura erupts from his form, his eyes now glowing with the same vibrant energy, ready to unleash his power. The purple energy swirls and crackles around his outstretched hand, a conduit of raw power forming at his fingertips. He slams his empowered hand into a grotesque, goblin-like creature, the impact sending ripples of purple energy through its form as it recoils violently. His voice rings out with unwavering resolve as he forces the glowing purple energy deeper into the creature's arm, asserting his dominance. His eyes burn with an intense, almost terrifying purple glow, while streaks of crimson energy erupt from his body, a testament to his unleashed power. Meanwhile, from a detached perspective, the labyrinth's overseer, Chun, watches with a subtle, knowing smirk, his own eyes glowing ominously red. Beside him, the adorable Slimy tilts its head, a curious "oh," escaping it as it questions the unexpected resilience displayed. Back in the vision, with a decisive kick, he delivers a final, crushing blow to the goblin-like creature, ending the confrontation with overwhelming force. Still recovering from the unexpected attack. Refusing to give up, he sends out a wave of purple energy, hitting the goblin-like creature with a shout, unwilling to let it get away. The creature cries out in pain as the strong mana rips through it, its body breaking down into sparkling dust under his powerful attack. Standing over the last bits of his enemy, he looks at the messy scene of his inner world, recognizing this harsh challenge as the real strength of the labyrinth. As the last parts of the creature disappear, he looks up, a purple glow still around him, thinking about this deep experience. At the same time, from a far-off, space-like place, Chun, the labyrinth's overseer, watches his fight, seeing the great mental and physical pain he has gone through. A soft red light comes from Chun's hand, as he thinks about the defiance shown, choosing to give the young man an opportunity because of his surprising strength. Next to him, Slimy, his loyal friend. Back in the spirit world, he stands firm, his body still giving off a soft purple light, showing the power he just used. His glowing purple eyes look around the dreamlike place, as he understands this is not just a dream, but a question remains. Is this strong enemy really just something he imagined? A low-grade mana increase potion appears, permanently increasing his mana by 10 points. However, a poor thief's tool lies broken, having failed to open traps 10 times. Accepting the low-grade mana potion, Kong Tae-san believes he will grow stronger soon. Drinking the potion, he feels a moment of confusion, wondering why it doesn't feel special. His resolve firm, he declares himself ready for the third floor, seeking a place for significant growth, as the system announces the Floor 3 quest to defeat the boss. With a determined look, he turns, ready for the next challenge. The system confirms his arrival on the third floor, revealing a secret reward, a low-grade vitality increase potion. Back in the shop, Tybeek greets him, expressing surprise and uncertainty about his identity after some time apart. The old man then sighs, commenting on his repeated act of taking vitality. The elderly merchant, Tybeek, dismisses the young man, calling him a lowly hunter, but then cautions his companion not to let him get away. As Kong Tae-san kneels before him, Tybeek asks if he wants to buy his valuable items, and the hunter quickly says no. The merchant then considers negotiating with the young man to sell him high-grade items, wondering if he is as weak as he appears. Meanwhile, a calm Kong Tae-san thinks to himself, a quiet thought of something eradicated crossing his mind. Back in the present, Tybeek, becoming impatient, tells the hunter to stop arguing and give the item to the person in charge. But Kong Tae-san, holding a glowing item, states he will take all of Tybeek's goods, and asks to see all of his valuable items. A sudden realization hits Tybeek, his face showing frustration, as he cries out that it's a trick, wondering how many times he has been fooled. Unfazed, Kong Tae-san examines his new gear, starting with a pair of studded gloves, which give him an attack increase of 2. Next, he inspects a green bronze shield, noting its attack reduction of 1 but a defense boost of 3, finding it pretty fitting. His gaze then falls upon 2 rings, a metal ring, offering 1 point each to attack and defense, and a thickening ring, which provides an additional 2 points to attack. With a determined expression, Kong Tae-san confirms his success, a quiet exclamation of "this is real," escaping his lips. As Kong Tae-san walks away, leaving the angry Tybeek behind, the merchant vows that the hunter will regret his actions. Stepping through the shimmering portal, he finds himself in a new, ancient space. The system confirms his entry into the labyrinth of the Lost King, a place he knows holds untold dangers and opportunities. His gaze falls upon a new notification, a question hanging in the air. Why do these monsters keep piercing his barrier, and is their mana truly above his rank? Meanwhile, in a different space, the merchant Tybeek seethes with fury, his face contorted as he curses the scoundrel who dared to trick him, vowing that such an act will not go unpunished. Back in the labyrinth, Kong Tae-san considers the implications of the system message, wondering if the monster he just faced was truly alive, and if so, he resolves to keep that information to himself. Suddenly, a hulking, shadowy figure emerges from the depths, its monstrous form casting an ominous silhouette as he and Slimy brace for an immediate confrontation. Without hesitation, he launches into action, a powerful kick connecting with the green-skinned goblin-like creature, sending it reeling with a sharp keck of pain. The creature stumbles backward, its body twisting from the impact, as Slimy, ever vigilant, prepares to join the fray. Pressing his advantage, Kong Tae-san follows up with another brutal strike, his movements a blur of efficiency against the struggling monster. The creature attempts a desperate counterattack, but it's too slow, as both Kong Tae-san and Slimy land simultaneous blows, the monster's eyes wide with surprise and pain. With a final, devastating impact, the monster lets out a piercing KK as it's sent flying, defeated by the combined assault. He surveys the fallen foe, a quiet satisfaction on his face, while Slimy, ever the loyal companion, confirms the monster's eradication, its small form radiating triumph. Within the labyrinth of the Lost King, a burst of energy erupted, accompanied by the sounds of conflict. His companion, Slimy, appeared distressed, repeatedly apologizing, seemingly burdened by a recent mistake. Kong Tae-san, with a soft blue glow emanating from his hand, looked at him directly, asking if he had made an error, which led Slimy to mention the king's treasure, a detail he had forgotten to share. Tae-san considered this, thinking that the treasure could be connected to a quest. Holding the glowing blue orb, he stated that he had not yet retrieved the king's treasure, and Slimy clarified that it was, in fact, one of the monsters residing within the labyrinth. He then apologized for not having been told earlier, leaving Slimy in a state of confusion, indicated by a purple glow, as he tried to explain himself. Seeking further details, Tae-san then asked a direct question, inquiring about Slimy's knowledge of the king's apostles. Sitting on a rock, the blue orb still glowing in his hand, Tae-san waited for his companion's answer. Slimy, still surrounded by a purple glow of contemplation, considered the question, concluding that the king's apostles were not merely common individuals. Resting on Tae-san's head, the small slime found it difficult to articulate his thoughts, asking how he should begin to explain. Tae-san, making a connection, asked if this implied it was part of a quest, which caused Slimy to fall in surprise, confirming that the scarcity of information made it a vital clue. With his arms folded in a contemplative look, Tae-san then suggested that Slimy could explain the entire situation from the start. For some, this labyrinth offers a chance at reincarnation. This is a story of a lost king, the labyrinth he built, and the treasures and people who sought them. Some found rebirth, while others became apostles. Within this history, there are some who are born to be brave enough to overthrow and challenge the king. A thought crosses his mind as he mentions that he thinks he has heard that story before. His eyes focus, and he realizes that the apostles were the ones who helped build the labyrinth. He pauses, then questions the idea of its construction. The story tells of a labyrinth built by a great magician long ago, and there is a rumor that some will be granted the chance to overthrow and challenge him. Slimy then states that he is expected to be the one who overthrows the king himself. He considers how that story travels down into the other labyrinth. The labyrinth's image appears, showing how it falls on innumerable people, forcing them to change into itself. And as if to test their challenges, the labyrinth itself, reborn as a monster, will test their will. His eyes glow as he understands that the labyrinth itself, which has been reborn as a monster, will test his will. He then remarks, "It seems the gods have taken that idea." The history of the labyrinth of the Lost King is further explained, detailing how apostles once descended into the abyss to support the king. Slimy explains that these apostles then began constructing a massive labyrinth. This labyrinth, a colossal structure that took them 100 years to build, was their creation. Then, in the middle of the labyrinth, they built a tower. But the question remains, what did they do with the king? The answer is that they sealed the king inside the labyrinth. Kong Tae-san looks concerned, asking if this was a good or bad thing. Slimy replies that it was a bad thing, as they may have tried to protect him, but they also caused great trouble. Kong Tae-san then asks about the forerunners, and Slimy explains that their soul, body, and mind will be tested, and some will pass. There are many forerunners, each with slight differences. The labyrinth itself is a monster that will test one's will, and those who pass are considered forerunners. Kong Tae-san processes this information, realizing that if he can overcome the labyrinth, he too can become a forerunner. Kneeling amidst the ruins, Kong Tae-san reflects on the labyrinth's inescapable nature, a place from which no one can flee, regardless of their strength or numbers. He understands that the dangers within will always reach them, a clear and unavoidable truth. A memory or vision of Liion appears, her shoulders carrying a heavy burden, a weight that seems to pull her down. He questions if he might be the only cause for her significant burden. However, a determination settles over him. If he is the only one who can change this outcome, then he alone possesses the necessary power to do so. Slimy, floating beside him, confirms his thought, stating that he must be the one to carry this burden, a clear and concise declaration. A moment of hesitation passes as he considers the people he has left behind, a quiet clenching of his jaw revealing his inner conflict. He sighs, realizing there is still a great deal he does not know about the path ahead. With a determined expression, he stands, asking his companion if they should continue their journey. Slimy responds with a cheerful affirmation, acknowledging its current small capabilities but pledging to serve as his guide. Within the labyrinth, faint particles of light drift through the air, suggesting the presence of unseen mechanisms. And a blue light flashes, as a system message confirms the successful disarming of a trap. Kong Tae-san looks surprised by his success, asking himself if he truly managed it. A system window appears, showing that his disarming skill proficiency has increased by 1%, from 10 to 11%, and he has gained 100 experience points. He thinks that he expected to try many times, but if he succeeded on the first try, it must be easy. However, a red system message appears, stating that he failed to disarm the trap. Another failure message appears, and his companion, Slimy, reacts with visible distress, a red glow surrounding it. Slimy calls out to him, its red glow becoming more intense. The repeated failures make him doubt himself, and he admits that he is not good at this kind of task. Despite his doubts, he continues to focus intently on the glowing trap device. He then reaffirms his commitment to the task, stating that this is what he does. As the labyrinth's challenges continued, Kong Tae-san's disarm trap proficiency increased by 0.1%, a small but steady gain. He acknowledged the system's confirmation, remembering the previous notification about his proficiency increasing. The path ahead remained silent, the dungeon's atmosphere feeling heavy. Despite the small gains, the traps were still difficult, causing him to groan as his proficiency only increased by about 1%. However, another notification appeared, informing him that he had gained Twisted Rune Affinity. He considered the implications, thinking about what challenges still remained. A look of surprise crossed his face, as the new affinity was unexpected. Despite the new power, he felt a moment of doubt, unsure if he could continue. But with a renewed sense of purpose, he pushed past his hesitation, his expression becoming determined. The ancient runes on the wall glowed faintly, suggesting more complex traps were yet to come. Deep within the shadowed passages, a shadowy figure, possibly a monster or trap, waited. Deep within the labyrinth, the ground itself appears to be a living, textured surface. Kong Tae-san looks up, a grim realization dawning on him as a monstrous green arm lunges forward, its raw power undeniable, and he thinks that even without fighting, his current strength might not be enough. He prepares himself for the impending confrontation. The creature lets out a loud roar, its large body beginning to emerge from the shadows, its eyes burning with fierce intent. Finally, the large goblin chieftain reveals itself completely, a hulking green monster whose presence suggests danger, its name now known. Kong Tae-san, still determined, focuses on the chieftain, understanding that it holds the power of the other goblins, and with a surge of red energy, he charges forward, ready to attack. He lands a strong blow, but the chieftain only roars, its body glowing with a fierce green light as it activates its rage ability, ignoring the hit. Kong Tae-san continues his attack, moving quickly and aggressively, but the chieftain's defenses remain strong. Suddenly, the chieftain strikes back with brutal force, its staff hitting Kong Tae-san and making him stumble, while it mocks him, saying he is no match. As he recovers, a new, strong energy bursts from within him, a bright purple light showing that his Twisted Rune Affinity has activated, a power he is ready to use. With this new power, Kong Tae-san strikes back, a wave of purple energy moving towards the chieftain, the air filled with magic. The goblin chieftain lets out a pained, surprised roar as the purple energy covers it, its rage briefly overcome. The attack lands with great force, dealing much damage and leaving the chieftain stunned in disbelief, wondering what happened. His initial attack, imbued with the Twisted Rune Affinity, had connected, but the chieftain's defenses proved strong, and its counterattack did not fully break through. However, the large enemy was not yet defeated, landing a strong hit on him, the force shaking his body. A wide wave of green energy followed, making him prepare for the continuous attack. As the green light faded, he looked closely with his glowing violet eyes, making a quiet sound. The rumors from the labyrinth were correct. The chieftain's power was truly great. Another strong hit sent him backward, his body falling through the air with green particles around him. He fell heavily onto the broken ground, the sound of the impact loud in the dungeon as green energy burst around him. But even as he dropped, a bright purple light appeared around him, his eyes shining with new resolve. Close by, Slimy, his small friend, shook with worry, the ground breaking under its little body. It felt sad about its own weakness, wishing it could help its master in this hard fight, as the purple light from his eyes grew brighter far away. With a burst of new power, he sent out a strong purple attack, hitting the goblin chieftain with great force. The system confirmed his victory, stating that he had gained a strong new ability from the elder boss, his violet eyes shining with hidden power. Having just obtained a new skill, Kong Tae-san examines the mysterious magic staff he acquired. A system message confirming his gain of quality recognition, as he realizes the staff itself is a magical artifact, capable of teaching him magic. Slimy, holding the staff, confirms its nature as a workout module with faintly present magic, leaving Kong Tae-san surprised by the potential of the item he got from the goblin chieftain. But his excitement quickly turns to confusion, as he questions why he can't use the staff's magic, realizing he can only wield the magic he has personally obtained. A deep huh escapes him, his brow furrowed in disbelief. Slimy, floating nearby, innocently asks why he's staring, reminding him that he's already at his current magic limit. He had assumed the staff would simply let him wield the magic he'd just gained, but the reality is far more complex. Now, a new question arises. How does one truly learn magic? He recalls the common wisdom, either through self-discovery or by learning from another. Slimy, ever the helpful companion, points towards the latter option, a shadowy, hatted figure appearing in his mind's eye. Dismissing self-discovery as nearly impossible, Kang Tae-san focuses on the more practical path, finding a teacher. His gaze sharpens with determination, as he wonders if there's an NPC in this world who can impart the secrets of magic. It makes perfect sense, he concludes, as proper magic is a rare and valuable commodity, especially for a solo player like himself. Einzel's voice resonated from an unseen source, explaining that magic was not merely about power, but about comprehending its fundamental nature. She continued, elaborating that genuine magical proficiency stemmed from personal acquisition rather than simple mimicry, prompting Kang Tae-san to consider the intricacies of this magical framework. The surroundings abruptly transformed, unveiling an ancient chamber adorned with glowing symbols, as Kang Tae-san and Slimy found themselves in an unforeseen new area. However, the system continued to grant rewards, including a level up, an increase in soul quality, and further rewards for clearing the third floor. He efficiently interacted with the holographic interface to claim his rewards, though a lingering thought remained as the system confirmed no additional immediate rewards. A slight frown appeared on his face. He perceived that something was amiss, suspecting a hidden secret within the dungeon. Even his companion, Slimy, typically unconcerned, reflected his apprehension, its small form conveying confusion. Subsequently, a new system alert appeared, declaring the defeat of a boss, despite him not having engaged in such a battle, leaving him thoroughly puzzled by the unexpected event. He turned to his companion, hoping for clarification, but the creature could only offer a blank stare, its simple understanding unable to resolve the dungeon's mystery. A sudden realization struck him. The dungeon was not merely a sequence of rooms, but a complex, interconnected labyrinth where progression was not always linear. With renewed resolve, he continued his exploration, navigating the intricate passages, his gaze keen as he searched for the next clue. Another system message appeared, suggesting a hidden path, which confirmed his suspicions that this dungeon contained more secrets than initially apparent. He stands before a system notification, which indicates the acquisition of a new ability called Shadow Trap. A moment later, the young hunter looks around at the ancient structures, asking himself what this place truly is. His companion, the wandering merchant, turns to him, asking what he has found, and the hunter, with a smile, declares his good fortune at making a discovery. Only a specific part of this labyrinth will be known as the true labyrinth, a place of significant power, and the hunter's excited words reflect his understanding of this secret. He then asks his companion for the meaning of true labyrinth, and the merchant responds with a silent expression of surprise. The merchant, a figure of ancient wisdom, stands among the ruins, his presence contrasting with the decaying grandeur of the labyrinth. Another system message appears, confirming the hunter's acquisition of true labyrinth, a title of great importance, causing him to repeat his question about its meaning to the merchant. The merchant, his eyes now showing understanding, asks if the hunter knows nothing of this secret, before stating that he is the first to be blessed by the true labyrinth. A significant truth is then revealed. Only one person can truly be blessed by the true labyrinth and gain its concepts and skills, a destiny that now appears to belong to the young hunter. The merchant stands tall, looking into the distance, a silent witness to the importance of his words and the ancient power he describes. With a calm expression, the merchant states that he does not feel resentment, his words reflecting an understanding of destiny. He continues, his voice filled with ancient knowledge, suggesting that the hunter might now be blessed by one of the labyrinth's powerful beings, beginning a new phase of power. He now understands his role, an existence designated as a monster within this place, and with this understanding, a firm resolve takes hold. The labyrinth appears as a vast, ruined city, its structures floating amidst a fiery, swirling sky, with broken spires extending upwards. Large, ancient pillars are seen crumbling, their material dissolving into the glowing energies that fill this desolate area. His violet eyes glow with an intense light, a determined expression on his face as red energy crackles around him, indicating the power he now possesses. With a clear and resolute voice, he makes his declaration, "I will kill you." His gaze falls upon the ground, his eyes glowing with a faint purple hue. The ground shakes, revealing a large, ruined structure, its stones scattered across the area. He finds himself falling, a red glow surrounding him as a system message appears, indicating a debuff has been activated. He observes a small, glowing, tentacled creature, frustrated by his inability to use his skills against it, wondering about the nature of the attack that caused his debuff. His purple eyes glow with renewed intensity as he looks up, bracing himself for what's to come. A massive sword swings down from an armored figure, meeting his defense with a loud clang. He counters swiftly, his sword glowing with a blue aura as he moves with incredible speed. He grits his teeth, his glowing blade making contact with a powerful clang. The armored guardian expresses surprise, questioning the unexpected strength of its adversary. He holds his sword, which glows with a steady blue light, ready for the next exchange. He attacks again, his glowing blue sword striking with force. Despite his inability to use any skills, Kang Tae-san continues to fight, his sword glowing with a blue light as he pushes forward, understanding the necessity of his actions. However, the strain is immense, and he feels himself weakening, a small, glowing red orb monster observing from a distance. Gathering his remaining strength, he leaps, preparing to strike the large servant of the labyrinth. He realizes that the labyrinth is not simply about power, it is a unique challenge where skill is paramount. With renewed determination, he presses his attack, his sword still glowing brightly. Gripping his weapon tightly, he internally questions the servant's perceived strength, considering it a mere low-rank monster. His sword then connects, releasing a burst of blue energy upon the servant's armored body. Unexpectedly, a system message appears, debuff activated, reflect, indicating that his attack has been turned against him, a consequence of the labyrinth's unique rules. The reflected attack strikes him, causing him to cry out in pain as purple energy bursts around his form. He is thrown violently backward, his body enveloped in the lingering purple energy of the impact. As he hits the ground, a new system message confirms he has received a powerful strike, which will restrict his actions for the next 10 seconds. His face shows clear signs of pain, as the purple and yellow energies of the debuff continue to affect him. Unable to retreat, Kang Tae-san acknowledges his difficult situation, realizing he must endure the debuff for 10 seconds. The timer glows purple as the servant of the labyrinth approaches, marking the remaining time of his restricted actions. With a determined expression, he resolves to withstand the attacks directly, activating his counter skill. The servant delivers a powerful strike, surrounded by purple energy, and Kang Tae-san prepares for the impact, aware of the significant damage he will take. The timer continues to count down, now indicating 5 seconds left until the debuff ends. Another hit connects, causing him pain as he withstands the servant's attack. He is thrown backward by the impact, a red aura appearing around him, as his reflect ability unexpectedly activates. The timer continues its countdown, now showing only 3 seconds remaining. He lies injured on the ground, still surrounded by a red glow, regretting his lack of control over the reflect skill, even as it activates again. A burst of red lightning suddenly surrounds the servant, as the reflected damage hits it with surprising power. A sound of pain comes from the servant, its body briefly hidden by a splash of red energy. The system confirms the outcome, showing that 46 damage was dealt to the opponent. The action's restricted debuff persists, its timer indicating 0 seconds, leaving him in a vulnerable state. Despite the pain, he clutches his small companion, a pained cry escaping his lips as he endures the ongoing assault. An older figure watches over him, calling out, his presence a silent question amidst the chaos. But the young man's focus remains sharp, his mind racing with strategy, knowing that he cannot directly engage at this moment, forced to rely solely on his reflect skill to deal damage. A resolute determination hardens his gaze as he decides they will continue this fight, pushing forward despite the challenges. His companion seems to sense his resolve, as he declares he will ensure everything on this floor is given to the little slime. The small creature, in turn, glows with newfound energy, its thoughts echoing a desire to learn and evolve, its eyes shining brightly the moment those words are spoken. The young man watches the glowing orb, understanding that it can reflect far more damage than others within the labyrinth. Yet, the monster's mana on this floor is overwhelmingly strong, having previously prepared floors of formidable creatures, and though experience and efficiency are only a fraction of what they will become, the creature will always disappear. That is precisely why he will ensure everything on this floor is given to his loyal companion. With a renewed sense of purpose, he plunges into the darkness below, ready to face whatever lies ahead on the next level. His small companion, now glowing intensely, affirms its commitment, promising to perform well for someone who has been with it for so long. Kneeling before Slimy's glowing form, Kang Tae-san expresses his determination, admitting he doesn't know what challenges lie ahead, but promising to give everything he has to help it overcome them. With firm resolve, he states that his actions are not just about avoiding danger, but about embracing the challenge to improve himself. As his thoughts deepen, he believes that life's true purpose isn't just about getting by, but about actively seeking out and conquering difficult situations. His violet eyes reflecting a newfound resolve, he prepares himself mentally for the difficult journey. Suddenly, Slimy reacts, its body growing larger and glowing brightly, showing clear signs of its development. Observing its change, he thinks about how Slimy must grow to be better than him, believing this is the only way to increase their chances of success. A powerful blue aura surrounds him, solidifying his resolve, as he decides to give Slimy all his support, raising the stakes for their combined efforts. As he descends the dark stairs of the labyrinth, he silently instructs Slimy to stay strong and not falter during any fight. A system message appears, indicating that Slimy has gained a new skill called Eyes, a sign of its progress. His expression thoughtful, he believes that the labyrinth would not put an impossible enemy on the 3rd floor, certain there must be a way to overcome it. As he continues down the stairs, his voice filled with dedication, he promises to give Slimy everything he has, encouraging it to grow. Below, Slimy, now bigger and more distinct, its eyes showing new awareness, seems to recognize Tayson's determination, ready to confront the upcoming trials with him. He looks up at the immense structure, wondering how it could still be standing, as it should have collapsed. Continuing his descent, he thinks about the previous floor, remembering how he came out of the throne room, and understands he must now climb further down. Unexpectedly, a large, furry monster with glowing red eyes appears from the darkness, announcing that a trap has been set, and another has been triggered. The creature stands over Taysan, who is still some distance away, its voice challenging him, asking how he plans to attack it now. Taysan remains calm as a system message appears, informing him that his umbrella skill has been activated. His eyes sharpen and a blue light surrounds him, as he quickly moves to attack the monster. His attack hits with great force, causing an explosion of light and scattering pieces of the environment. Purple energy streams through the area of impact, making the attack stronger and breaking through the monster's protection. From the swirling energy, a dark, umbrella-shaped form appears, hitting the monster accurately and adding more destructive power to the attack. The monster's body starts to break apart, unable to endure the continuous attacks. Looking at the damage, he breathes out softly, showing the strength he just used. The final parts of the monster vanish into glowing purple energy, leaving only dust and signs of its destruction. An elderly mage, bald and robed, raises his hand, causing the ground beneath him to crack and disintegrate as small particles begin to form. A purple aura glows around his raised hand, and he urges an unseen entity, "Get yourself together," as the ground continues to break apart. His eyes glow red, and a dark purple energy surrounds his head, as a shadowy figure with glowing red eyes forms beneath him, receiving the command, "You are activated, control." Fully enveloped in a purple aura, the mage observes his shadowy creation fully manifest, which then emits a guttural sound. However, before the attack can connect, Kong Taesan reacts, his violet eyes showing determination, as a vibrant red energy swirls around his raised hand, creating a defensive barrier. The clash is immediate and powerful, a fiery explosion erupting as Taesan's defense collides with the mage's dark magic, causing the ground to crack. The mage's eyes widen in shock, his control broken, as a system message appears, "Check failed," his powerful spell having been nullified. He stumbles backward, his staff falling to the floor, muttering a defiant, yet confused, "Whatever. You can't embrace me with such trick." Disbelief twists his face as he looks at the young hunter, who still emanates a red glow, the mage exclaiming, "How dare you? You are just a mere human." Injured and forced to one knee, the mage still manages a defiant declaration, "You may be able to defeat me, but you won't." But Taesan shows no mercy, delivering a swift, powerful kick that sends the mage stumbling. Standing over his defeated opponent, his violet eyes glowing with power, Kong Taesan surveys the aftermath of his decisive victory. As the confrontation escalates, a voice announces a forced battle skill, the antagonist proclaiming that no one else could understand his power, and despite the forced nature of the fight, he intended to bring his adversary down with him. He pressed on with his taunts, asking if his opponent would simply accept his fate or choose to resist. A green light glows from his hand as he considers that his own situation might be unique, or perhaps not, leaving his intentions unclear. The atmosphere charges with energy as a system message confirms the forced battle skill has been activated. However, Taesan quickly retaliates, breaking through the magical barrier with a powerful strike, causing green energy fragments to scatter. A golden light surrounds the antagonist as he observes this power, expressing his surprise and calling Taesan impressive for a human, recognizing his potential as a hunter. Unmoved by the antagonist's words, Taesan remains steadfast, a red energy glowing around him, his determination clear. With a final statement, the antagonist's golden light grows brighter, saying he would thank the gods that his final choice was to stand against Taesan. A loud laugh comes from the antagonist, filling the area as the fight reaches its climax. The goblin chieftain lunges forward, roaring as he approaches his target, confident in his attack. Kong Taesan is sent skidding across the dungeon floor, the impact shaking him, as he feels a silent frustration at his opponent's unexpected strength. The chieftain, however, seems to enjoy the fight, his taunts echoing through the cavern, asking why his opponent continues if he finds him so annoying. With a savage snarl, the goblin brings his large club down in a powerful arc, intending to end the fight. But in a flash of steel and sparks, Kong Taesan blocks the blow, his sword meeting the heavy club with a loud crash, deflecting the force. Before the chieftain can recover, the hunter delivers a fast kick to his midsection, sending the large goblin reeling back with a grunt of pain. He follows up instantly, his blade a blur as it moves through the air, striking the chieftain with a metallic clang. Despite the attack, the chieftain merely cackles, a twisted grin spreading across his face as he promises to make the hunter regret his existence, fueled by a strange hatred for his appearance. But the hunter's violet eyes begin to glow with an intense light, a silent surge of power gathering within him as he prepares his next move. With a sudden, bright flash, he unleashes a powerful sword strike, catching the chieftain completely by surprise, who can only gasp in shock as the attack lands. He slices through the air with a powerful, glowing strike, the pink and purple energies of his attack tearing into the goblin chieftain. But as blood splatters from the chieftain's mouth, a chilling message echoes through the dungeon. No damage to you. You have activated Raged. The chieftain recoils, a furious purple aura erupting around him, leaving Kong Taesan stunned, wondering what new power this creature has unleashed. With eyes now glowing crimson, the enraged chieftain snarls. Human's arrogance has no limits, as he pushes the hunter back, who realizes this is a skill he's never encountered before. His own eyes blazing with electric blue energy, the hunter's resolve hardens, knowing that to overcome this, he must unleash his full potential. He launches into a blinding flurry of sword strikes, each clang of metal against the chieftain's defenses echoing with raw power, a relentless assault designed to break through the monster's newfound rage. But the chieftain roars, a wave of purple energy exploding outwards, shoving the hunter back with immense force. Still gritting his teeth, the hunter struggles against the chieftain's overwhelming power, the clash of their wills reverberating through the air. Then, with a renewed surge of glowing power, he lunges forward, his sword cutting through the chieftain's defenses once more, forcing the monster to recoil. The chieftain screams in agony as he collapses to the ground, defeated, blood pooling around his broken form. The hunter's glowing blade hums with residual energy, a testament to the decisive blow. Standing over the motionless body of the goblin chieftain, Kong Taesan finally lowers his sword, the battle concluded. He stands victorious, the goblin chieftain finally defeated, its large body motionless on the blood-stained ground, a clear sign of the difficult battle that had just taken place. The chieftain's last breath leaves its body, a final, rough sound filling the quiet dungeon. As the monster's life ends, a soft, glowing light comes from its body, showing that its rule is over. He lets out a sigh of relief, the stress finally easing after such a tough fight. His hand, still shaking a little from the excitement, reaches for the glowing core left behind, a quiet sign that the difficult experience has finally ended. Suddenly, a familiar blue screen appears in front of him, telling him he has gained a new skill called Trigger Skill, Power Strike. He thinks about the information, a small wrinkle appearing on his forehead, curious about what kind of power this new ability has. The system keeps updating him, explaining the advantages of Power Strike. It uses more mana for a strong attack, a skill he feels will be very important. Another message appears, showing his progress. His trigger skill, Acceleration, has also gotten stronger, proving how hard he has worked. He holds up a new green gem, a real prize for his hard work, while the system congratulates him on his fun days. The system then asks him to pick a reward for clearing the dungeon, giving him a choice between a random box or a skill book. His stats are shown, a clear sign of his increasing strength, as he is now at level 17, prepared for any future difficulties. He finds himself on the 5th floor, a realization that hits him instantly, confirming his suspicion that this was indeed a labyrinth. Turning to his small companion, Kong Taesan addresses Slimy, who looks up at him expectantly. The little slime responds with a questioning sound, its wide eyes conveying a sense of innocent confusion. Before them, the labyrinth unfolds, a vast, intricate structure of dark stone and glowing red energy, stretching into the unknown. Standing amidst the ominous glow, Kong Taesan surveys the daunting challenge ahead, the sheer scale of the dungeon pressing down on him. Suddenly, a system message flashes, declaring that he has passed the labyrinth trial, prompting Slimy to once again voice its confusion. Another notification appears, revealing the acquisition of a new skill, Labyrinth Sense, a power that promises to influence the very structure of this maze. The system elaborates on the new ability, confirming its potential to manipulate the labyrinth itself. With Slimy by his side, he observes the detailed description of Labyrinth Sense, which explicitly states its capacity to influence labyrinth. Further system messages flood his vision, announcing the discovery of a protective barrier and the contained treasure box, leaving Slimy to once again question the rapid succession of events. His updated status window appears, showcasing his new level 17 and hunter profession, along with the newly acquired skills, as he muses on the nature of this trial. With a thoughtful expression, he considers the rewards, wondering what secrets the labyrinth still holds and what choices lie ahead. Upon entering the 5th floor, Kong Taesan observes a swirling, red vortex, which is identified as the Labyrinth of Illusion. A system message appears, stating that one would become lost without the Labyrinth Sense skill, prompting him to consider its importance. He proceeds up a staircase, and the Floor 5 quest initiates, requiring him to defeat the floor's lord to advance, and offering random arm traits as a reward. A secret reward is mentioned, while the shadowy figures representing the Floor 5 lord are visible, indicating the challenge ahead. Before a large door, he reads the conditions for entering the labyrinth. Acceptance leads to teleportation inside, while failure results in immediate expulsion. After a brief pause, he accepts the challenge, preparing to enter the labyrinth. The labyrinth is revealed as a grand, intricate structure of white and gold, emanating a soft light, its design suggesting its complex nature. A A system message confirms his acquisition of the labyrinth sense skill, which allows him to see and manipulate the labyrinth's paths. His companion, Slimy, expresses confusion, perceiving the mystery of this new skill, uncertain if it is beneficial. Another prompt offers to reveal the truth about his skill if he accepts, an offer he immediately accepts. The labyrinth levels up in response, with labyrinth sense receiving experience, accompanied by a jing sound. However, a cryptic message appears. The labyrinth will not directly reveal the truth, but will read his mind and determine his worth. He stands before a glowing interface, where Baltazar presents an important deal. Despite having already accepted the quest for the 5th floor, he decides to take on this new quest as well. His small companion, Slimy, floats nearby, expressing concern, suggesting he should not have accepted the deal so readily, as Baltazar's offers could be deceptive. He considers this, noting that gods typically avoid breaking contracts, with Lakarada's being an unusual outlier. Slimy considers his words, letting out a small, contemplative sound. Having made his choice, he confirms his acceptance of the quest, and the system indicates Baltazar is greatly pleased. The system updates immediately, showing an increase in Baltazar's favor, a heightened difficulty for the 5th floor, and a reward of 20,000 points. Without warning, the 4th floor begins to rumble, its structure visibly changing and cracking under an unseen force. The floor beneath them suddenly cracks and collapses, causing him and Slimy to fall rapidly through the crumbling structure, his expression one of surprise. As they continue to fall, he questions aloud what could possibly be occurring. Slimy, concerned, asks if he is okay, describing the tumultuous event as an earthquake as they fall into a new, green-hued area. Their descent continues rapidly, marked by 2 distinct thudding sounds as they drop further. His eyes widen in shock as he takes in the new environment, managing only a surprised, "This is?" As he falls into the unknown, the environment around him shifts, the labyrinth structure collapsing into a vertical shaft. He quickly understands that the labyrinth has changed into a straight line, an unexpected and illogical transformation.